everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Steven with OP Noobs. This is the show. Ow, that's loud. This is the show where we go through a bunch of trailers that we found for games on Steam. Some are on Steam Greenlight, some are early access. We basically look at the trailers and we decide at a glance and from the description provided by the developers whether this game is worth our time or, well, not. And so before we get right into it, let's go around the room. Start with the introductions. Unfortunately, Fred, are you still here? You're still here, right?
I am.
God damn it. So Fred is our CEO, Grand High Poobah president, and the person that usually gets us blacklisted from developers. Fred, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Are you?
Thanks, Steven. Yeah.
Awesome. That's good to know. Next, we got Chris Kellogg. He is the VP and slightly lesser Poobah, who is apparently voting for Bernie. How you doing there, Chris?
I can tell. Can we start the debate on that?
Chris, you're muted. Chris, just like a
just
Bernie
like Bernie.
Supporter, you know?
No. Just like Bernie doesn't know how to use his controls. I don't know how to use my controls, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, when Bernie messes up, it's cute. When somebody else does it, not so much.
Hey, I'm cute. You're telling me I'm not cute, Steven?
Well, you're not wearing the kick-ass
Not by
lipstick.
my standards.
But next on the list, no, Fred. We'll get to you in a second. No, seriously, Fred, go ahead.
Do you really think he stands a chance of winning?
Bernie? No, not anymore.
After you've just joined
the statistics
us,
have come in today, it would appear that Bernie Sanders is likely not going to be the Democratic nominee. Sorry for all of you people out there who care. Probably not many of you because this is Twitch and no one gives a fuck about politics. But if you did, I'm sorry to report this news.
That is not necessarily the case, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later on because we kind of gotta.
Yeah, we can't.
We will. Next on the list, we've got Paris Forge, the editor-in-chief. So if it's written and it's on the site, it's gone through him first. Paris, how you doing?
Hey everyone, how's it going? Editor checking in, making sure you're all writing all right. Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
All right.
Guilty as charged.
What's the most recent review that you've seen, Paris?
The most recent, I think, is actually Eli's review of The Walking Dead. How do you pronounce her name, Eli? Michonne, episode 1. Yes. Apparently, it was as we had feared, and there are quick time events, and there are lots of them.
So many.
Much disappointments there.
I mean, it wouldn't be as bad, but it was short, so they feel like there's a ton of them.
Yeah. Sorry you had to go through that, Eli.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Speaking of disappointments, Eli is one of our writers. He's one of our engineers. He's currently probably 7 sheets to the wind. How you doing, Eli?
I am not 7 sheets to the wind. I'm at about 2 right now.
At 2 only?
Yeah. It takes a lot. Look at the size of this thing.
Look at the size of the beard. It takes a lot to get that beard drunk, I bet.
Seriously.
Fair enough. Next on the list, we have Caitlin, one of the... You have so many titles, I can't even tell which one it is this week. One of the heads of E4I, one of the writers, one of the reviewers.
He says that when he doesn't know.
Oh,
I do
this
everything.
is true. Caitlin, you do a lot of stuff here. And that wonderful shade of red. And finally, last but certainly not least, we've got our only actual professional YouTuber to date, Shane. He is also one of our lead interviewers who just recently did an interview with... Whom did you do an interview with, Shane?
You're going to make me say the name, huh?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, with Sky Jazz Game. I'm going to try not to butcher it again, but Pasadillo Regacio. I probably did that wrong again.
I think that's
Pesadillo. I can't say it.
Quesadilla. The key is practicing the mirror every morning.
To be fair, it was Shane and Caitlin that were doing that interview, and I have to say it wasn't as much a train wreck as I expected.
Hey, what? No, I wasn't there.
That's a
compliment. Confidence. Much wow.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that we do deal with. We talk to a lot of indie developers from various countries, and there are some times that it can be a little bit tough. But again, I was watching the whole interview, and it wasn't half as bad as I expected. I mean, it's not as fantastic as our wonderful interview with Hounds. Fred, that went well. Do you remember that, don't you? Yeah? How was that interview, Fred?
You just actually, this is the one time where I actually had to use my phone for the interview, and it was also the first time I straight dialed a phone number into South Korea, which was an experience. It was interesting. It was very one-sided in the sense that I did all the talking. It was fun. It was good. It was good. I won't comment. You told me to. You told me to wash my mouth.
Well, that's fair enough. But
such restraint.
Yeah, such restraint. But if anybody's following the thing with Hounds, wow, that was it. It's just fun. Release a free to play for 3 years running. Release a game for $39 on Steam. Suddenly, the free to play client stops working, and the cash shop works fine. So. Sometimes we have train wrecks. Speaking of train wrecks, let's get right to this train wreck. So like I said, this show is all about the trailers that you can find on Steam under Greenlight, under Early Access, and some of them are released, some of them are actually asking for money, some of them are bad, some of them are good. And we're going to go through, we had a list of 30, we pared it down to 10, so we're going to knock them all out tonight. Fred, you in the back.
Yeah, actually, before we start the list of trailers, I just want to throw it out there and kind of raise the question: if you guys watched the Academy Awards on Sunday, the Oscars,
yeah,
because I feel like it's entertainment. Yeah, sure, it's not PC gaming, but there's connection to make in some shape or form.
Got robbed.
In my mind, like the movie industry and the gaming industry kind of share a lot of similarities, and at the end of the day, they're coming closer together as games evolve and storytelling becomes more and more important. And by the same token, in a way, I was thinking about it as I was watching the show. What's that movie called? The big one that they shot in the desert of Malawi.
Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max.
Oh,
Mad Max looks like a video game. I mean, of course, we had the video game Mad Max come out.
Actually, I got to review the game. But that movie was awesome. It deserved all the awards that it received. I mean, George Miller is a genius, and they had Cirque du Soleil characters on 30-foot bendable poles on cars moving 50 miles an hour. Like, those are real stunts with real people. It's crazy.
But it made me feel a lot like, actually it made me think about this show watching the awards, because not to put ourselves at that level.
This is gonna be fun.
Because you think of Mad Max, and Mad Max got all of the awards for anything technical and scenic. Scenic in the sense like art design, just graphically what the movie looked like, but at the same time it actually got no recognition for the movie as a whole. And thinking about that, like it literally, like you started watching the awards and you think, damn, like this movie is just winning every single award. And at the end, it kind of fell, and I don't, I'm not an expert when it comes to Academy Awards, but at the end, it just completely lost the momentum it had gained early on, and all of the big awards were distributed to other movies. I mean, maybe feel like, well, yeah, but is it fair in a way to segment, is it fair to segment? And I feel like that's a question that we raise in our own show every Tuesday night. Like, a lot of the time, some of our disagreements come on the fact that some of the people are really gonna bow down to a game that's got a great story, or it's got great graphics, and it's gonna have like half of the rest of the crew saying, yeah, but that's not all it takes to make a good game. Like, so I guess I'm raising a big philosophical question about the way we, as whether it's press or whether it's Academy Awards even, like kind of classify those efforts and think, can you really segment can you extract a quality out of a movie and say the movie is, at the end of the day, it's still recognition towards the movie. I like to kind of disagree with, in a way, I'm disagreeing with the Academy Awards as a whole and like conceptually what it stands for, because I'm saying like you can't just say, okay, well, Mad Max had great costumes, and so we're highlighting this movie. For me, Mad Max was cool looking, but I'm sorry to say, Chris, and you may disagree with me, it was boring. It was a boring experience.
Well, I've heard that.
It's a movie, so I can like freely express myself on this.
Although you gotta remember, it was like mostly action. It was hard to be bored during.
But it was boring. I mean,
to be fair, I've known people that have fallen asleep during the Helm's Deep storming.
Wait, so. Are you saying Mad Max was boring?
Yeah, that's
what he's saying. Movie. He's talking about the most recent movie. Yeah,
I'm not talking about games. I'm not talking about publishers, developers.
So
or mobile.
Wait. So you're saying because Mad Max was like nothing but action that was boring?
I'm just saying, I guess to refine my argument here, like I was kind of hurt by the fact that Mad Max was winning so many awards and stealing 80% of the show. It's an important show. It's the annual show of the Hollywood industry. When at the end of the day, I thought it was a bad movie.
I like the fact. I
guess the question is what makes it bad to you?
Because outside of just the special effects and all the fantasy and all the artwork that went into making the movie, it didn't grab the audience. And as far as what
grabbed me by like the head and like
Fred,
the movie.
Have you ever seen a Mad Max movie? They're all boring in the middle. That should just be.
I think the numbers kind of shows that it did capture the audience. I mean, and the fact that it was a rated R movie to make that much money is even like a testament to like what it did.
But it's not a good movie.
It's a pretty good movie.
I don't know, man. It's got like hot chicks. It's got action. It's got explosions, man.
I think you guys are getting too much into personal taste.
As everyone rallies against Fred.
Let's bring this on back. So here's the fun part about the Academy Awards, and then we got to move on to actually, because I can see where Fred's coming from with this, because at the end of, I know it's weird, right? At the end of last year, we had our OPN Awards. We went through an entire year of games.
You mentioned Undertale.
I am. And we went through an entire year of games, and there were a lot of big flagship titles, Fallout 4, Witcher 3, and then RPG of the Year went to Undertale. I don't think he's ever really gotten over that. And I can accept that because I still firmly believe that was probably the most divisive voting that we've ever had, and I still stand by that being a major mistake. Fred, one sec. But that being said, we see a lot of games that shouldn't get accolades, or we don't think they should get accolades. But then we have situations like Undertale that on the surface look like nothing important, nothing amazing, and yet it gets a lot of praise. So to a point, I see where he's coming from, but it all comes down to people's personal taste, like what they were about to rail on you that I just saved you from.
But it's also a big question, because when you watch movie, you want to be emotionally involved in the characters, and whereas movie you want gameplay. So it's two very and I feel like in Mad Max, in a way, was more of, this is something I want to play. This is something I want, like all of the action I want to be in control of. I want to be moving towards. I felt like Mad Max would have made a great game, and actually it didn't make a great game, which is kind of ironic.
Borderlands.
But I was gonna say, did you play the Mad Max game, Fred? Because I wasn't impressed. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, he saw my review.
Chris got to review it. Yeah.
Well, and I remember talking about it with Fred too, and basically like it was kind of like it ripped out parts of Batman and then did a bad job of that.
It was all of Batman.
Yeah. Well, no, because the vehicular combat was at times pretty fun. That was the one thing that had going for it. Because you could get in the car and you could rip across the desert and you could use your harpoon to harpoon an enemy like in their car, and then you could rip them out of their car and you could actually use the harpoon to rotate them around you, swinging 360 degrees as you drove through the desert, and then you could slam them against the side of a rock face. And that was fucking awesome.
I just think you're missing like the point of Mad Max. Like I love Mad Max. I grew up on Mad Max.
I saw movies when I was a kid.
I love Mad Max. I think the point that you're forgetting is that Mad Max is about a hero that's a real hero, not like the heroes you see in these movies. Like all he wants to do is live. He doesn't really care about anything else. Like put yourself in his shoes.
It does a
like
little bit.
you just want to live, right?
Just a tiny
Yeah, but I don't care about Mad Max when I watch that movie. I do not care about Mad Max.
I think you just don't like the action. You think it's just too much action then?
No, I love action. That's the thing. I love a good action movie. It's a great movie. This was not a good action movie.
I like to think that Mad Max is just Mel Gibson's fever dream. To be honest with you, I just like to think that that's what.
And I'm not like
closes his eyes.
I'm not like I see you guys rolling your eyes like, what are you saying, Fred? Like, yes, visually it was stunning. Technically it was impeccably executed, but it was missing that. It was missing some flesh to it.
It had a guitar. Did you like the other ones? Did you like the old Mad Maxes?
I've never seen a Mad Max.
Oh, typical.
That's why you don't care about Mad Max.
See, this is the thing.
It had a guy playing a guitar in the front of a truck.
But in a way, that makes me more qualified to talk about the movie, because you guys go into the movie theater feeling nostalgia and feeling like, oh my god, this is the next Mad Max movie, and it looks awesome.
All right,
so you're biased.
There's gonna be a bunch of people that like it because it's Mad Max. There's gonna be people that like it for other reasons, but I mean, it's all going to come down to personal taste on that. You know, some people will be into it, some won't. And there were a lot of people that really loved the game, but obviously not everybody.
But to be fair, we can't really, honestly, I don't think, because I think I know where you were trying to go with this. I don't think Mad Max actually deserved any Oscars. And I'll say why.
The special effects were awesome.
The special effects were awesome, but the problem is it's all CG. I don't think you should receive an award.
No, that was
some of it.
CG.
Some of it was practical.
All those people, all those things you saw, all those stunts were real stunts.
But
I think the bigger question is, it's not. I feel like
were real cars.
Fred, hang on. A movie should not win an Academy Award based solely upon that kind of thing. It should win an award because it deserves it.
Well, okay, but I think you're underplaying Greg Miller here a little bit. I mean, you have to understand, he shot these scenes. He had like one chance to shoot each scene. Like each scene was costing millions of dollars. So most of these scenes were done in one take, like as a whole.
Fantastic, but why on earth should that suddenly? Okay. It's just like how just because Leonardo DiCaprio got his ass kicked by a bear doesn't necessarily mean he should get an Oscar.
His argument on global warming is preposterous.
There's a category of Oscars specifically for special effects and stuff. That was what they got it for. They didn't get it for overall stuff.
But the thing is, I was seeing people, just like with Undertale, I was seeing people say that it should have gotten Best Picture, it should have gotten Best Screenplay. I'm like, this is a popcorn movie. Why the hell would you be giving a popcorn film Best Picture? But at the same time, the truth is, if you want an Oscar, you have to play a real person, or you have to have some disease, or you have to be beaten to death, or you have to do something that tugs at the heartstrings. I don't know why we have to do that. If you want to be given, this is essentially just a back-patting award show. I've never been a big fan of the Oscars because it's never really been given to movies that have actually touched people. Movies.
That's my point, Steven.
I
hate to interrupt you and not.
No, I'm gonna agree with you
because that's my point. Is I feel like this is not so much a conversation about Mad Max, it's as much as it's a conversation about how the awards are structured. We shouldn't have an award given to best special effects. We should have an award given to best action movie. That would make sense to me. It's the way the whole thing is structured because Yeah, no, there isn't. And it's the way it's structured. It's basically taking a very small component of a movie and awarding a movie for it. And I feel like, and awarding the people for it. And I feel like it's just
Well, these are award shows that are run by the industry for the industry. At best, these are beauty pageants to begin with. So I think you might be expecting a lot out of the Academy.
I don't
usually watch the Oscars. I only did this year because my girlfriend was watching. I'm like, it's not.
The Academy Awards have always been and probably will always be until members of the Academy start dying. They will almost always be movies that people either A, don't want to see, or B, don't want to see without drinking half a bottle of wine first.
And I would also like to argue, before we start with the trailers, I would also like to say,
hang on. Debbie Designs in the chat, I think, Little Debbie Designs, Totally. Oscars always, it's always going to be drama, abuse, and war. That seems to be the thing that they like the best. I've never really seen a good consensus on what hits Best Picture. It's always got to be somebody in some form of misery. Why?
And I also,
it's just Schadenfreude at its highest level.
I also feel like the little political touches that they bring into that show about very, very left wing. I mean, very is offensive.
This is the wrong conversation for us to be.
It is the wrong conversation, but the thing is,
it's fine. No, it's not the wrong conversation because it's
Fred,
connected to the gaming industry.
This is a video game show.
Fred,
let's politics and movies.
Stop, guys. Come on.
But I feel like the gaming industry needs to evolve in a way that
kind of him, will you?
Looks at the shortcomings of the
Okay, Fred, here's the thing. This is the perfect time for you to pitch your show because this is the kind of stuff you should be talking about. But here's the thing. This is the Tuesday night show. While that's important, Eli's got a good point. People come here to see us not talk about the Oscars. They come to see us talk about the trailers. However, at the same time, Fred's got a legit point. We are in an industry. Games are getting very close to
reacting to Hollywood.
Yeah. Movies, Hollywood sees the gaming industry and they go, they're just pretenders to the throne. They look at YouTube, they're afraid of YouTube. They look at Twitch, they're afraid of Twitch because they are going to be supplanted. And they're going to be supplanted real soon, as far as I'm concerned. So even though Fred derailed this thing from the get-go, he's got a valid point. We are getting to the point where we're not only arguing about our video games art, it's how art our
and
video.
I'm sorry to add to that, but isn't the Twitch Awards becoming something very popular nowadays? And shouldn't we look at the Hollywood industry and see the rise of our own industry and try not to make the mistakes, or at least try not to evolve the same way that the Hollywood industry has evolved? We don't want to become just a bunch of liberals making action movies. We want to be more than that. We want to be more. They talk about diversity. No, because for me, it's shocking to see like the head of the Academy Awards come and talk about diversity, and then at the same time have most of the industry really pitch in their own political stances and kind of digging it in. I'm not even a conservative or a Republican, so it's not like I'm taking that personally. But I tell you something that a lot of people who are watching the awards are and may feel a little bit, insulted by that. And
so you're basically saying that you were insulted, and then we actually have to get back to the topic at hand.
We have to do the games
because otherwise we're gonna end up getting negative views.
Go ahead.
Let's move to the trailers. I would say.
Alrighty,
I won't talk anymore.
Awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to have happen. All right. So that being said, but seriously, this is a conversation we should have. At another time, I think a round table, because we do those every month or so, where we get a bunch of developers to run. No, including the politics, right, Fred? What do we call that thing?
Rise of the Indie.
That's right. So what is Rise of the Indie? We do one every single month where we get a bunch of developers around to talk about politics of the gaming industry and games in general. But speaking of games, let's get right to it. The first trailer, Stylo, if you please. Let's get this ship of ADD back to Ritalin Bay. The first game is called Overpower. And Caitlin, you want to read us the description?
Overpower is a class-based medieval role-playing shooter. The goal is to offer players a skill-based MMO-style PvP experience that allows players to progress their class without the need to grind for months. Like an MMO game, it offers class-based progression, allowing players to unlock new abilities, weapons, armor, and eventually more classes. Mix and match abilities and weapons to create a unique, customizable playstyle within each class.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the developer.
Hydrant Games. Oh, me or?
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Hydrant Games was founded when Adam and John began collaborating on a shooter project. Adam, a 3D artist by trade, combined with John's extensive programming background, proved to be a highly capable duo. Over the last 2 years, along with the help of friends, they have made a tremendous progress developing Overpower.
Okay, so what do we feel about this? Just judging from the trailer again. Caitlin.
I think maybe this could be Paris and my solution to our Paladins problem.
What is the Paladins problem?
It was great, and then they changed it so much we didn't want to play it anymore in a patch. A single patch killed the game for us.
Wow, so it became Star Wars Galaxies. What exactly happened in that patch?
Paris, you want to tell him?
Okay, so
Paris?
Sorry, had some mic problems. Yes, so at the beginning of the game, it was fun, you know. It was a simple playstyle with a roughly open map sort of versus arena multiplayer mode going on. And then, like, in the course of a single patch, it went from that simple formula with just everyone knows what skills they are, everyone could get cards easily, everyone could just jump in and play. They turned that into Team Fortress 2, like a cheap knockoff of Team Fortress 2, and completely changed everything. Like
they added ultimates in a game that was awesome because it didn't have them.
Exactly, yeah.
Ugh. And they changed it from the normal setup for a MOBA to trying to put everything on the mouse, and then they the whole control system changed overnight. We logged on and cried.
Oh wow. So.
And then the community became more toxic and started calling that. My first log on was being called trash repeatedly.
Wow, that's some fun stuff. So it's basically turning into your standard issue MOBA.
Yep.
It looks a lot like Smite to me. What is anybody else's opinion just based on the trailer here for this game?
It's just, I don't know. It doesn't, just watching the trailer doesn't really give me any reason to play the game. It just looks like another one of those third-person wannabe, like you said, Smite or something, like Team Fortress type thing.
It looks fun.
Would this be anybody else's cup of tea? I know, Caitlin, you and Paris were playing Paladins. Chris?
Well, I guess for me, this kind of game, it depends on the control style for me for whether or not it's going to be fun, right? So when I look at a game like this, I'm like, is it going to be like Diablo where I just click and click and click and click and click, or like 90% of these types of games you just click and click and click and click and click over and over again? Or are they going to give me an attack button and a block button and a parry button? You know what I mean? Like different things. Is it going to allow me to actually have control? And so if the answer to that is
not
yes.
Diablo.
Don't get me wrong. I had my Diablo.
The same thing.
I like Diablo.
My wife often comes downstairs and says, and she looks at me. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I often tell her, "It looks like I'm just clicking, but I'm actually doing a lot more."
But actually, you're just clicking. That's the thing. And don't get me wrong. I love Diablo, but I'm just so sick of games.
You're clicking in sequence.
Click and click and click. No. Games involve control, and I feel like if this one actually has multiple buttons, multiple things you can do, then great. But if all you're going to do is just click over and over and over again.
You don't always have to click. You can alternate between the number keys, too. Those are buttons, right?
I could assign the attack button to every key in my keyboard and pretend like it took multiple keys to play. But
in Diablo 3, there's only 3 good attacks. But
yeah, no, I played Diablo 3, I think, for all of 4 hours and then stopped.
I'm still playing Diablo 2, for God's sake.
I'd rather play Diablo 1, quite frankly.
I can't really knock on it because I have a Paragon 300 or something like that. Nothing big. But, whatever.
Again, great game, but why are we trying to copy games that are already great from 10 years ago?
But we have games that are literally press one button. That's it. For example, Walking Dead. Right? That was basically just QTEs. That's literally just clicking one button. What makes that more of a game than anything else?
Well, I wouldn't play it.
That's actually not pressing one button. It's telling you which button to press and giving you a time limit to press it. That's irritating for a completely different reason.
Well, actually, what's really irritating is if it is indeed the way that Caitlin is saying, where a single patch can ruin the game. That's pretty sad. I mean, I've seen it with Star Wars Galaxies. I'll still pour out some liquor for them because I miss them. And GE was a blight. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen with this one. Overpower, as you can tell, is a Kickstarter game. It's on Steam Greenlight, so hopefully we'll see that in the near future. I think it's a little too early with these kind of games to tell if it's going to be good or not, but I guess we just got to go by the trailer. So speaking of trailer, Fred?
I just do want to comment on this is just an opinion.
This does not reflect the views of OPN.
I look at this and I see yet another game, and it's actually funny that you guys talked about Paladins, because to me Paladins was already kind of a carbon copy of Overwatch, which in turn was a carbon copy of Team Fortress 2. And it's just kind of, it's like we get into those scenarios, not to get back on Hollywood, but we're starting to see a lot of recipes in the gaming industry. And
reboot.
And it's fine, you're always going to have recipes, but to actually not even mention the fact that this looks like another clone, we should talk about that some.
It's true. There are a lot of indie games that are basically just riffing off something else. But at what point does it no longer become The Simpsons did it? At what point does it become like, say, a South Park, where it's got its own spin?
It's a great. Actually, I'm glad you bring the analogy of The Simpsons because Family Guy. Family Guy. They took the lessons. They took the lessons of The Simpsons and. They in a way they copied some elements from The Simpsons, but they did their own thing with it, and they completely like turned the recipe around and kind of, for me, like Family Guy is Simpsons 2.0. It's just pushing the edges forward
with worse jokes, to be honest with you,
and no real storyline.
Yeah. I mean, I miss American.
I love Family Guy.
Is American Dad still on?
I love Family Guy and American Dad.
Yeah, I love them both too.
Seth MacFarlane's like one of my favorite
him.
voice actors / animator / like cartoonists.
I have to say I like Futurama more though.
Futurama is my favorite cartoon story. Yeah,
so much better.
And I guess what I was trying to say is that if you're gonna copy something so obviously, so like shamelessly as Paladins and Team Fortress and Overwatch, at least make sure that when you look at the trailer, it doesn't feel stiff. At least make sure that technically you're right there. You're right there to compete. If you're gonna offer the same product, even if you're from the indie scene, you need to compete technically.
I can respect that. So that being said, let's get on to the next one. Some of these names interesting. The next game on the list is Crazy Pixel Streaker. Oh joy, another pixel game. This is also a Steam Early Access game, and tell us a little bit about it, Caitlin.
A fresh and insane brawler with roguelike elements. Streakers run half-naked, armed with a water pistol and other powerful weapons to spread chaos and craziness in a world. Most famous sports events. Instant fun for up to 4 players.
And Shane, tell us a little bit about the developers.
I believe it's at Liberum Games Studio. We got Viking blood running through our veins, and you can find a mead vending machine in our offices. But snacking and destroying is a thing of the past. We now develop video games, simple, addictive, and extremely crazy titles, mostly for smartphones and PC.
Can I just start by saying this looks stupid as hell? And just judging from the trailer, I'm really getting tired of these dumb, made-for-meme, made-for-YouTube style games. Just my opinion. I can tell that this is what they're
getting a Steam key, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. And Fred, this is a throwback to what you were saying last week. This is basically a mobile game ported to PC. Does this really need to count as a game, Chris?
I mean, I hear what you're saying. That it does definitely feel like it's going for that like lowbrow, like easy humor grab. But man, this game looks pretty funny, and I bet it's really fun to play with 4 people like in a living room together, which is clearly what it's designed for. I feel like this game would be so much fun, and it's got like some hilarious ideas, like basically half-naked people running around playing football.
Oh yeah,
eating against one another. Actually sounds hilarious. It sounds
agree with
awesome.
Chris on this. Like,
yeah, I mean,
if humor is in the house, Steven. If humor is in the house, then that saves the day.
Yeah, and I'd rather play a 4-player game that's funny than a 4-player game that's like really serious, because I realized this the other day when I like play games with my friends in the room with you. Like that's when you want to laugh and have a good time. When you want to compete, you get on a PC and you play online against people you can't see and don't care about and therefore definitely hate. But but when it's friends of yours in your own room and you want to just play some video games with them, you want to play games that you can just enjoy and laugh about. And this game, I feel like, would lead to some awesome fucking laughs.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. I'm totally up for the couch co-op game. I just feel like if you're gonna have weapons on a soccer pitch, this better be a Mutant League soccer game. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
I would love to see that.
I support it. I support hearing that.
It's like a kick-ass version of Super Dodgeball, man. Like you got Coke and just riding pigs with rainbows on it, half naked ass people on it, and Guile with a Gatling gun. That's like
it's a funny trailer too.
Yeah,
it sounds like the behind the scenes at Wolf of Wall Street. To be honest with you, you got Coke and got pigs, and you got Eli. What you got?
I think it looks like it could be fun. I don't know if it'd be for me, but I do want to say streakers are not half naked. They are naked. They're buck freaking naked. They have everything off. They are not wearing shorts.
Vive la France!
I just want to see. I want to see a soccer hooligan game. Let's just combine Crazy Pixel Streaker with soccer hooligans. Can we do that?
He makes a good
there
point.
We go.
The title is not totally accurate. I mean, they're not actually streaking. I mean, and it wouldn't be hard to get away with like probably pixelated nudity, right? I mean,
Sims
they did it in Shower with Your Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although they actually, that was weird. They used pixels to pixelate out the pixels in that one.
Well, you got to be careful about that pixelating.
Yes, I know it can leave marks, but
personal experience there, Chris.
Oh no, just kidding. I don't know, man. I still think this is
dude. It's got like Yetis and stuff in it, man. This is like the game.
This is
the game, man.
I would play this.
This is the game, man.
I would play this on my phone big time.
I kind of want to play
phone,
Party Hard on
a
Stream
PC?
later.
Never. I
mean, if I, to be fair, I don't actually own 4 Xbox controllers, but if I did, I would play this in my living room with my friends. But
yeah, have fun.
Owning 4 Xbox controllers costs like $200 practically. So
this is true. Caitlin.
Hi. Okay, so I think that. Well, I was raising my hand for a while. Okay,
I know.
So these couch co-op ones, they are weird for us to review because say you get the game key. Who are you going to play it with? Unless, like, does everyone have to buy the game to play co-op? Does one person have to buy the game to play co-op? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's hard to get the entire grasp of a game to review when it's a multiplayer game. That was my only...
Well, nobody's going to be able to get to it because it's not really going to be officially available until tomorrow. So that being said, if anybody is interested, they can go to Steam. They can search up Crazy Pixel Streaker, and hopefully there will be a nude mod or a patch to make it a legit streaking.
Maybe it'll be the first game with a clothing mod.
That'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You can put clothes back on the thing. Anyways.
It's got bonus mentions and hats and permadeath.
Oh, great. So it's Team Fortress 2 with pixels.
Yes.
Fair enough. Well, that being said, let's get on to the next trailer, which sounds really, really close to the first one, but it's not. The game is Overfall, another Steam Early Access title. And Caitlin?
All right. Overfall is a fantasy role-playing game of rough diplomacy and tough action. Explore, negotiate, and fight your way across the high seas. You will lead 2 heroes on a journey across the high seas in search of their lost king, encountering people of all breeds and all creeds. Ally with them or crush them without mercy. You will face many dangers, survive them, and you may unlock new characters, weapons, and skills. In a world where death is permanent, you must return to the beginning and make a fresh start. The heroes you choose, the weapons you unlock, and a world that is randomized means that no 2 adventures will ever be the same.
And Shane, tell us a little bit about the developers.
Para Games is one of the first independent multi-platform game development studios in Turkey. Para Games was founded in 2014 by a group of passionate gamers and game makers. We're dedicated to exploring our love of engaging gameplay experiences, developing our talents for making great games, and sharing what we do with players all over the world. We're proud of what we've already accomplished on Overfall, our first project, and we look forward to applying what we've learned to future creative projects.
So this is looking pretty good to me for a first project. But again, we have to throw back to Fred because he doesn't want to talk, but I'm going to make him. This is another one of those games that looks like it got its start on mobile, to be honest with you, just from the interface and all that. Is anybody else getting the same vibe?
Yeah, I think it's that like too.
Yeah. So how do we feel about this kind of thing on a PC as a platform?
I don't like the art direction.
Don't like the art direction?
What
about the art direction's not your thing? Is
I
it
don't
the oversized
know, man.
heads?
It's the oversized heads and the weird looking dead president feel to it, man. I don't know, man.
I kind of agree. It's got this weird kind of emo feel to it.
It's like Don't Starve, but like not happy at all. You don't want to play
like a Gaia Online look to it.
I thought it was cute.
Side scroller that had like the little dude. That is really not helping. I realize. I'll find this game though, because it reminds me so much of that. I'm sorry, that wasn't really great input.
Gary, where's my OMG hat? I have a Gaia OMG hat. I don't know if you guys know that, but yeah, I was a
Braid.
big
I'm thinking of Braid. It reminds me of Braid.
Braid, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the art style looks really close to Braid.
Yeah.
People definitely.
And I didn't like that art style. I thought the backgrounds were nice, but I didn't like the sort of like weird ruddy faces. It was like cartoony in an ugly way.
I thought that was actually part of the charm to it.
It's like Western chibis or something. It's just creepy. It's just creepy.
See, that's the thing is, we might be partial because we like anime, and like you might be like we like things that are super bright and cute, and that's like pretty ugly and dull.
That's just ugly and
Chibi is supposed
like,
to be
creepy.
like childlike. Chibi is supposed to be little kids.
I mean,
no, Chibi's more like almost baby-like.
Yeah,
like
it's just really little kids.
I don't know.
Yeah, but they're not kids. They're like full-grown adults made to look like.
GBs are just.
There is no way I can possibly throw to this without sounding terrible. But Paris, what's your opinion after we have that conversation?
Well, grumpy toddler avatars aside, I don't like the way this game was put together because, they said they had randomly generated islands and such, and they did move around. But during that slide of that happening, I had trouble figuring out what part was changing because the islands were just like moving like little ticks here and there, and the ship battles where they just basically have one half of the ship, your half, and then they keep pasting on different ships on the other half. It just seems like okay for a first production, it'll look rather like a Novus, but it doesn't. It looks too cut and paste. Too much of a cut and paste game.
Chris?
So I think maybe I was rewatching the video and I turned the closed captioning on, and one of the things that it just like I paused on randomly is that it said we took inspiration from FTL, Divinity, Original Sin, and Warcraft all together. And it seems like a diverse type of thing. There's so many different games in so many different directions. And it's like, I think that's what the problem is here. I think you've got a team that likes different things in different types of games that are basically different from one another. And they're probably trying to pull elements of those together and going to fail in the process.
Oh, they're going to fail if they're comparing that to Warcraft.
Yeah, or FTL.
I gotta be honest with you. This does not look like something that would, me anyway. Someone's dying outside. Sorry. This doesn't seem like something I would even remotely care about. To be honest with you, this feels like it's basically just a mobile game that was ported to PC just for the sake of porting. I don't know. For a first run, maybe it's good, but I just don't think this is really. To me, I don't think it's worth our time. If that sounds too harsh, I'm going to say it. I don't think it's worth our time. Anybody else think that's too strong a statement?
We should not cover it.
No, I agree. It's ugly, deformed chibis.
It's ugly and deformed.
I feel like that would be a better game.
Please tell me you support me on this one.
It's funny because I was gonna, I really tried to be
support me one time.
I wanted to start with a bang tonight and talk a lot about the Academy Awards for like a good 20 minutes and like the liberals and all of that, and really throw everybody kind of, Fred's such a jerk tonight. We don't want him on the show. We can put him off. And then completely like go back into my rock underneath my rock. And let you guys have at it. I feel like I should not be commenting on this game unless
No,
it's awful. It's awful. It's everything. It's everything PC gaming is not.
Why is that?
This is the mobile experience. This is not the PC gaming experience. It goes back to so many debates we've had in the past about is there such a thing as a PC gaming, as a PC game versus a mobile game. To me, this exemplifies my argument, and I feel like it makes the most of my argument. And I stop there.
So, that's the thing. Some of the
argument
people
being this is not a PC game.
I was going to say, some of the people watching tonight are new faces, and some of them might not know your pure and undying hatred of 1,000 suns about how much you hate mobile games.
The one that you told me to keep under the rug.
Yeah, you know what? Because the truth of the matter is, there are some times where I can smell a cash grab a mile away. And I feel like this is probably one of the ugliest games that I've ever seen. I'm not a fan of the art style.
To me, it's not
it
about.
is booty, man.
It's
It's
we're gonna talk
booty.
about the next button. We need a next to this, right?
If I'm gonna be, to me, it's not so much, and I guess I'm going against my own arguments here. But to me, it's not. You guys are focusing a lot on the fact that you're not finding the game visually appealing, and I can live with that. Like I can.
No, the gameplay is not appealing. None of it is appealing.
Well, it has to be visually appealing, and I have to like look at it for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has
Well,
to.
and you know, if you're gonna make the kind of game like this, you make it look nice.
I mean, you cannot say that Undertale was visually appealing. Not to always get back to Undertale, but I mean, it's definitely, obviously not a criteria among
really
PC gamers. Undertale beat The Witcher 3 in our Academy Awards for Best Awards for RPG, so I think it's fair to it's kind of hard to beat like Geralt and then say that this game is crap because it doesn't look good. I don't think like that argument is available to you anymore, guys. I just feel like it's not an option for you anymore after what happened.
Caitlin, save us from ourselves. So Fred and I and Shane and Chris and Paris and I think Eli.
Before we get to Caitlin, jokes aside, I feel like for me the biggest problem with this game is that this is not something you play on PC. This is something you play on your phone.
I totally agree. So Caitlin, are you going to be the dissenting opinion on this one? You going to be our Scalia?
I thought that the artwork was actually sweet. I thought it was so cute. These cute, chibi old people who look haggard and weary with giant bobbleheads. I thought it was really charming.
Got it.
But
I worry about the look of the website.
I did have a problem with the permadeath thing, and it looks kind of like a turn-based strategy, but also with ships and this and that. They're throwing too much into here. I don't personally want to play a game where I'm getting attached to these randomly generated characters and I lose them. I'm looking at you, XCOM.
You would really hate Fire Emblem then. Wow.
I've passed over Fire Emblem every time I saw it since I was a kid. I wanted to play it for about 5 minutes, and then I decided not to because I didn't want to risk that it wouldn't be like Golden Sun, which was the game I really wanted.
It's nothing like Golden Sun.
Yeah, it's not. I knew that when I figure it out.
But there's a casual mode. If you don't want to lose your units, you can get them back at the next mission. But still.
Caitlin, you're the only person I ever met that had the same love for Golden Sun that I do.
Yeah.
Golden Sun is good.
But
Fire Emblem was not going to be what I wanted it to be. So
fair enough. But so getting back to this thing that we're looking at. So hopefully, and I know I'm wishing so hard for this, but we're gonna see more mobile to PC ports. And unfortunately, I wish we didn't. But this is just one of those situations where I think we're almost unanimous on this, that the game is not a good game and not really worth the space on the site. We're going to sound elitist, but you know what? It's worth it in some situations.
We are elite.
So that being said, let's get back to serious games. Oh, I don't want to do that one yet. We're going to get to serious games here. Serious people. For E.T. Army.
Pretty sure the last game that bore the name E.T. did not fare so well.
Hey, that was a good game long as you didn't play it.
Yeah, it depends on how you view it, right? I mean, it did do the worst, but everyone talks about it all the time, right? So
yes, because it was
very 10,000 copies in the desert. I mean, if you have to do that for your game, you're not doing well.
And no one can buy it, so it's not doing them any good.
Still have my copy.
That being said, let's get on with it. E.T. Armies.
E.T. Armies.
Go.
Is an action-packed, fast-paced science fiction first-person shooter. The game takes place in a future where Earth has been reduced to ashes. It is now home to a new nation that hungers only for war. Prepare yourself to rise and defend against the invasion of the Forsaken. Wow, pace yourself for the Forsaken too. That too.
And Shane, tell us about the developers.
Raspina Studios is a team of enthusiasm gathered around the main goal of creating high-quality and polished games. The team has been established in 2011 and has developed games for PC and mobile devices. Raspina, I think that's how you say that, is planning to direct its focus on PC and console games in the future.
Yay, another FPS in space with Marines and stuff. Speaking of games that look like they're derivative, and speaking of games that look essentially like they're just cribbing off other games, wow, wow, Chris, go.
Yeah, I mean, I have all the same reservations you do, man, because, like, I mean, all I can think of is Solarix and been like, wow, what a wasted pile of potential. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a lot more polish than I would normally think to find in a indie FPS.
I agree.
It's really hard to do an FPS as an indie developer. It's just like an open world RPG. Those two types of games are really hard to do well as an indie developer because they're so big and they require so much time to develop the world. But this one looks way more polished than Solarix did. And I'm looking at the UI and it looks busy. I can see they got multiplayer going already. I mean, you got water splashing on this like virtual windshield. It looks awesome, man. I don't know. I'm tempted to think that this game looks fucking awesome.
I feel like this is like the Krylon touch on. I mean, it looks gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, but it also looks like every single first-person shooter I've honestly ever played. I was getting kind of a almost like a Bulletstorm vibe from this thing.
Bulletstorm, I don't know.
No, the way I see it is like I'm looking at it, and it kind of reminds me of Halo, and
Halo,
I guess it kind of had to ask you a question, like the game compared to indie games and its counterparts. This is obviously above and beyond what most indie developers can do. So then you just have to ask yourself, are you going to grade the game based on this indie competition, or you're going to hold it to the standards of all the other first-person shooters? And in my personal opinion, like, this is a good game, but once you start diving into first-person shooter world and like your focus is like the shooter like Halo, then I'm going to have to unfortunately start comparing you to Halo. So that's kind of how I feel. No, but the game is great. You know, kudos to them for like I've never seen an indie game to like this extent, this polish as a first-person shooter. It's very expensive. So good job, but you will be compared to like Call of Duty and Halo.
If it has a compelling story, that can be huge for it too. You know?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the main problem. Again, judging just from the trailer, because this is pretty impressive for an indie studio. I don't know how many people are really in the studio fully, but if you're gonna cosplay as an already established shooter, I'm not saying that you can't do it, but it looks like so much of the aesthetic is already taken from, almost cribbed from other games. That's my major concern with it. Fred, you were waving your finger. What was that all about?
Yeah, but so many people are waving their hands and have like...
All right. Let's get to the EIC. Paris, what's your opinion?
Well, okay, we were talking earlier about like the whole Paladins TF2 ripoff thing. Yeah. And right now I'm thinking like the main thing that has to differentiate here is that if the game feels more familiar or if it feels more the same. Like if you play like a certain genre, like other games that in that genre are going to feel familiar, and they might have elements that, you know, you'll be comfortable with that are borrowed from other games, but they don't feel like the same game. But like I'm watching this and I'm like so sure that I'm just looking at like Halo weapons being wielded by people in Mass Effect armor, and like if you go into a popular genre and you just feel the same as everything else, I see that as just the worst sign of that. That is the opposite of success for them.
I agree, man.
Yeah,
Caitlin?
But damn, those guns are aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah,
they are so pretty. Everything else has detail, but the guns are the most beautiful of that whole game, and it stands out really, really well.
Fred, are you ready to speak now?
Let Eli first.
Oh, okay. He wants to drop a bomb. Eli, what's your opinion? So far, we've got 5 people saying that it looks derivative. What you got?
I'm going to say I don't care about derivative or anything like that as far as something like this. I do want to disagree with what was being said earlier about, you know, first-person shooter being like a difficult game for somebody to get into. No. First-person shooters are actually one of the earliest types of games that a lot of developers get into making because it's so much simpler than a bunch of other types of games, especially when it comes to 3D games. I've done a little bit of game development in the past.
You mean because the camera perspective, right, is actually
it's not
3D really well.
It's not just that. It's a lot of it has to do with the fact that you can focus on, a specific thing being fired from a specific point causing damage to something else. You're doing very specific checks throughout your code. When you get into other types of games, it becomes far more convoluted, a lot more complex to deal with. First-person shooters
are large. You got to admit. I mean, with first-person shooters, sometimes you have to program a huge world to make it compelling.
Okay, but regardless of what type of game you're producing, you can scale your environment to whatever size you're comfortable dealing with, whatever you can handle. It's not based on the type of game. The environment is just whatever the developer chooses to make for it. But this game in particular, as it goes for a first-person shooter, I think one of the problems for it is that it tries to go for a sci-fi feel that's relatively, realistic or whatever, but the way that they style things is a lot more fantasy. When you look at the characters, they don't look like realistic soldiers. They look like fantasy soldiers, but they try to give it a realistic style for the gameplay. I think that causes a problem. I think that hampers, the appeal of the game because you're getting mixed signals from what you're looking at.
That's fair. That's a measured response. Fred.
Let Shane go because I'm about to open a can of worms. So
I don't know about that. You've already. All right, go for it.
I was just gonna be real quick. Honestly, when I see this game, how I interpret it immediately is that I see somebody who wants to work for like Bungie or Activision, so they make this and they're like, "Hey, look what I did," and they're like, "Okay, I guess he can do what we're doing. Let's bring him aboard." That's just what I get from it.
So that's actually a great segue to what I'm about to say.
You feel like this is basically somebody's CV, almost like what a modder would do.
Yeah, it's like a stepping stone. Like if you're running a WoW guild, right, and you're not the best guild on the server, but you're like number 3 or 4, so someone joins your guild just to get the gear and knowledge, and then applies for the first guild. Right. That's kind of how I feel with this game.
That's a pretty sharp criticism. So effectively, not only do we feel it's pretty much cribbing from other already established first-person shooters, and come on, I'm sick of space. I can't stress it enough.
Oh, yeah.
But not only that, but we're also feeling like this game probably maybe won't be supported after its release because it's a one-and-done type of thing where they just want to get it out there and then use this to jump into another company. Fred.
Resume.
You've been building this bomb for several people now.
Follow me on this. So you remember the OPN hot list that we did like for three consecutive weeks? We looked at all of the games in 2016 and all of the stuff that's coming out, right?
Right.
And then you must remember, I'm sure you remember, the interview with Yulia from Tiny Build Games. And during some of that interview, I actually I talked about my feelings about this mini-series that we brought together, replacing the Should We Cover It show. And I said, at the end of the day, after 3 weeks of looking at all of the hot titles of 2016, from a creative standpoint, I was disappointed. Meaning, like, I didn't feel like, oh my God, this is going to be the year that's going to revolutionize gaming. If anything, I saw a lot of big budget production delivering the same stuff that we're used to, the same stuff that we've already played in 2015 and 2014. Actually, I would even say 2015 was more provocative than 2016 was from big budget studios. And when we got back into the Should We Cover It show, the first couple shows had a really strong emphasis on indie games, and we saw a lot of very, very small budgeted games. And I came out of it thinking, thank God for the indie scene. Thank God for the indie scene to bring some creativity and hopefully inspire AAA studios. So that was an introduction for my most shocking statement, which is...
Is this before or after you said that you knew how to do her job better than she did?
That's I forget. That's irrelevant. Don't confuse me.
Okay.
Keep me on track here.
You are so wrong about that.
I would say that the indie scene comes as a savior to the gaming industry, to the AAA studio, to always inject creativity into games, except for one damn genre who doesn't need the indie scene to prosper, and that's FPS.
Okay.
And in my head, like a lot of the comments that Shane just made, and also Caitlin just did, which was to compliment, if anything, just the looks of the guns, Battlefield, man. And I'm not an FPS player, you know. I'm not a competitive. I'm not even into Counter-Strike. I am the lamest FPS player out there. But I would say the AAA studio has got a great, fantastic, impressive grab on FPS as a genre and keeping it evolving in a way that is most healthy for the industry. And when I see AAA indie studios kind of, I can't believe I'm saying this on so many levels for OP Noobs. When I see indie studios, Chris, like I'll let you give me the comeback, but let me finish. When I see indie studios take a crack,
that has liquor in it.
take a crack at FPS as a genre, I see a lot of talent. I see products that are, you know, have merit, but I think just let it be, man. Like, just let the genre go to the big studios because they don't need you on this. They don't need you on this.
Ooh, okay. So with that, we're actually going to temporarily stop the stream for a few moments. I just got told by Stylo that he wants to try and rejigger something because there's a lot of complaints about buffering and whatnot. So since we aren't part of Real Networks or Real Player, we're going to go off for a few seconds, and then we're going to come right back, and then we're going to find out what Chris has to say about that. So,
surprise.
And we are back, folks. Thanks for hanging with us. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty because we're OPN and we do that.
So once it wasn't our fault.
For once, it wasn't our fault. True. So we are back. We're talking about ET armies in case you just joined us. And Fred, our Grand High Poobah and president and whatnot, he just basically said that indie developers shouldn't do FPSs.
Yeah, can you not make that sound so official?
Well, you know what? Well, so let me make this. So Fred made an interesting point, which is that you know, the Twitch stream. Okay, it's back. Is that basically, you know, it's if they're not going to do it well, why should indie companies make FPSs, particularly a genre that has been explored so much by the AAA scene and other scenes too? You know, why bother? And one of the things that I think was really
simplify my argument, though.
Well, I'm trying to summarize. So that is a simplification. But
But my main argument is that the AAA scene has a very creative engine when it comes to FPS.
No, okay, I get to that. Okay. So I think there are problems with maybe the idea that they're being very creative, because when I look at things like Far Cry, I see a lot of derivative gameplay. When I look at some of the most popular genres, there aren't very many FPSs that really did a lot of breakthroughs.
Yeah, Far Cry, but you look at Arma 3, you look at Battlefield 4.
Sure, but Battlefield 4 isn't that good compared to Battlefield 2 or 3 or 1942 or the other.
Or Star Wars Battlefront for that matter.
A lot of PC
Hold on, let me
gamers
finish. This isn't even my point. My point is that the modding scene is dead. Counter-Strike came out of the modding scene. Team Fortress came out of the modding scene. These are huge titles now that came out of the modding scene. Portal is really just a Half-Life mod, technically. I mean, it would have been considered that 10 years before it came out, or 5. And the truth is, the FPS indie scene, it used to not have to rebuild the wheel every time. Most of these FPS people in the AAA world cut their teeth making mods for these games. And the real problem is AAA developers have not made it as easy as it used to be to make mods. I know there are exceptions. It's not a golden rule that all AAA developers make it hard for their games to be modded, but it is significantly harder to mod a game now. And developers are just not willing to take the time to develop modding tools like they used to, because it doesn't earn them any money, and it actually creates competition for them. I mean, it's really hard to compete with a game like Counter-Strike when Counter-Strike is free. I mean, it used to be free. Now you have to buy Counter-Strike. And it's really hard to make a compelling product and give it away for free. And so I think that the AAA scene has tried to crush the modding scene. Even though the programmers aren't against it, I think a lot of the publishers have really tried to crush the modding scene because it's competition that they can't fight. You can't fight good free content. You just can't. And so what did they do? They destroyed the opportunity for people to make good free content.
And so now
you've got the indie scene. Now you've got the indie scene, and that's all that's left.
You're not fighting me, though. I mean,
no, because
you're talking about something else.
Is that with modding, you used to take the old tools that those AAA guys developed. You could take the Source engine and make it into anything you wanted for free. Now you got to pay for that. Now you got to start with the Unreal Engine, sure, but you got nothing. You just got a sandbox of no tools. You know, they don't have the tools they used to provide for free anymore. So all you can do if you want to be an independent developer and make an FPS is make your own indie FPS. There aren't modding tools anymore. And a lot of the expense goes in building these engines for these FPSs.
So see, Fred, that is the one point that I think I've got to support Chris on. If they don't make these games,
we're not disagreeing. We're not disagreeing.
But here's the thing. I actually kind of agree.
Chris displaced the debate in the sense that what I'm saying is that in these studios, my argument is
this
that
in these studios
are directly needed.
The death of the modding scene.
Hey, guys, come on. All right, so Fred, your argument is that indie developers shouldn't make FPSs because AAA is already doing it. Where do you think the AAA guys are going to learn how to do it in the first place?
That's not my argument.
But it may not be your argument, but the thing is, if we didn't have alternate ways to get good first-person shooters, we'd all be having to play the same damn Call of Duty, the same damn Battlefield, the same damn Battlefront, the same damn... It gets too derivative. AAA at this point are literally copying each other, and now we have a situation where we've got an indie developer who has made a game that looks AAA, but isn't actually AAA. They've now got the tools and the talent, obviously, to do this. Why shouldn't they make a game that looks essentially like Acid Stolen? Why shouldn't they make this game? Why do you think that an indie developer shouldn't be making a first-person shooter?
Because I don't think that the genre as a whole, the indie scene is key to the healthy development of the gaming industry. When a specific genre really is lacking creativity and falling into recipes after recipes after recipes, I feel like RPG is seriously heavily affected by that. RPG nowadays, and yeah, I'd even say, yes, even The Witcher, for all of its beauty, all of its creativity, and I was the #1 fan in 2015 of that game. I still feel like the indie scene is bringing a lot of freshness to those games. And I completely, wholeheartedly disagree with you, Steven, when you say that FPS in AAA studios is stuck in kind of this rinse and repeat. I don't think it is.
But if you played shooters before 2000 and after 2000, what you would have seen was an explosion of innovation that is unlike any other thing.
If anything, when I see a game like
Battlefield, you had a Far Cry and Crysis.
When I see where the
amazing games. Now you just see these horrible derivatives of all those games, watered down versions of these games that are made easier so more people can play them and just have tuned up visuals.
And I may be wrong because I'm not an expert in FPS and I'm also not good at playing FPS online. It's just every time I get into those FPS games online superficially, and I swear I'll actually give you the microphone by the time I'm done with this sentence. Every time I get into those games online, I am blown away by the strategic depth that you're gonna find in skilled teams playing a game like Battlefield 4. And I hate to say it, but I feel like the developers have made that happen. They created the gaming environment that makes that happen. And in that context, I really can't be the pundit that says big budget studios are withdrawing the creative process from a genre. I feel like they're fully at it and doing a great job.
But you did just get done saying that indie developers shouldn't actually be making FPSs because we've already got too many of them to begin with. Again, where are they gonna
That was not my argument, Stephen. Eli, go ahead. Eli, I'll pass the microphone to Eli. That was not my argument.
Eli.
Okay. So, when you're saying that AAA studios have enough creativity going on for the games, to the point where the titles that indie studios are putting out are irrelevant or whatever, however you want to think of it. Honestly, what are the AAA studios adding to the shooter genre? They're not providing anything all that new. You can take something like Titanfall. They were adding in giant robots, which already existed in games. They were adding in sort of parkour, which already existed in games. They were just taking stuff from other formulas and trying to incorporate it to see if it would become something big. And honestly, in AAA first-person shooters, and what did Evolve do? It just gave you a hunting mechanic that already existed in other games, and it gave you a PvP thing where somebody plays the big bad monster. That was already in other games. They're not giving you something new. Yeah. Or or like Damn,
that's
or a whole bunch of other games.
These are games on the peripheral.
No. There's like, take any AAA shooter that has been put into play now.
Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Arma 3. That's what drives the FPS
And what do those provide that is honestly new
and Counter-Strike?
invigorating?
I'm sorry, audience. Counter-Strike.
What about those games is new and invigorating to the shooter genre, other than being updated with more modern stuff?
And I feel like that's exactly what you just said right there, Eli, and I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, is exactly what somebody who doesn't know what he's doing in those games would say.
No. Because when I look at those games, I look at the stuff that they're providing to the genre, and I say that doesn't give me any reason to want to play those over the old games.
So much strategy. Think of the games that used to be so good, like Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 and Half-Life. These were archetypes. These were huge. These were amazing games, and nothing has even come close to touching them since then. And it's 20 years later.
Here's the statement of the month. I, as a human being, am not good enough for FPS.
Oh, but you could play Half-Life. You could play original Half-Life and Half-Life 2 and be just fine. And you would.
When I look at AAA
FPS
shooter
takes the
games,
cream of the crop of our gaming communities.
No. When I look at AAA FPS games coming out now, I can look at a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of different ones, from AAA games to indie games to all kinds of stuff, and I see almost the same gameplay across all of them. AAA games are following a formula. They're just adding in specific stuff. You're saying that they're the only ones getting past the formula. They're the primary ones using the formula. They're using, oh, look, in this one, you can use this futuristic thing. Or in this one, you can do parkour. And like, they're just saying, it's the same shooter game, but you can do this little tiny thing extra. They're not innovative.
However, again, keep in mind that pretty much every shooter is that way. So, Fred, to a point, that does shoot the argument down. At this point, AAA is stagnant. It's been stagnant for a while because these guys, they've made it. Okay, they are the Metallica of the video game world. They don't have to do anything new, and when they try something new, gamers usually say, "No, we don't want that. We want more of the same shit." It's the same reason why Madden continues to sell to a certain extent. It's the reason why WWE games continue to sell. It's why all sports games constantly sell with only slight minor tweaks. The fact of the matter is,
please move on.
Exactly. We're going to move on shortly after Shane, but we're at the point where gamers may bitch about the fact that it's always the same, but we keep buying the same crap. And if keep buying the same crap, but that's the thing, you're obviously the minority. Look at the sales figures for any of these shooters that we constantly rip on, and yet they keep selling and selling and selling. So of course AAA is going to keep doing this because they want the same thing. They want money. And if we keep giving them money for the same crap, who are we really going to blame? The AAA publishers, or should we just blame ourselves for being that short-sighted? Shane.
All right. I think the topic kind of got taken off rail there, but my personal So my personal opinion is,
I'm sorry, Caitlin, by the way.
I don't really care. It's not my fault. I'm not the developer. I understand that they've made games harder to make first-person shooters on. They made it less accessible. But to me, that's no excuse. When Hideo Kojima needed something done, he created his own engine. When people at Namco wanted to create Tekken again, each and every Tekken they create, they make a brand new engine with brand new mechanics to get what they want done. You can still be innovative as an indie developer. You just need to figure out how you're going to rewrite the system. So I personally think that when you start copying it because you're using the excuse that it's not accessible, well, it's like I said before, you're going to release this ET Armies on me, and I'm going to put it right next to Halo. I'm going to put it right next to Battlefield. And I am going to say there's nothing different, and I am going to compare it to these games that have $1 million budgets. So my personal opinion is I understand it may not be accessible, but there's people out there who will go above and beyond to create a new engine, a new system that has not been thought of yet, and break the bounds. And that's kind of how I feel about this game.
That's fair. So either way, it's just one of those situations where, again, we're just going to have to see how it goes. It is a brilliant and gorgeous game, but at the same time, you got to wonder, is this just the start of indie developers starting to copy or cosplay as bigger AAA developers or bigger AAA titles? Is it really going to be something that adds to the indie scene, or is it just going to be more of the same old stuff? Like, is this game in the future, is this going to be the way that we start doing, where we have copies of copies of copies of copies? Just like how in Hollywood, we've got reboot after reboot after reboot after reboot. Is this going to be how we go going forward? Fred?
Yeah, can we do the Bastion giveaway?
I guess we should. After all of that very, very damning stuff that we just said, we should do a giveaway.
So, Caitlin, let's get you back into the show, and let's have a big number between 0 and 100.
Okay.
And whoa, Caitlin got a lot quicker at that.
Okay. Well, there's only so many numbers.
So we're going to ask people in the chat to think of that number that Caitlin is thinking about and plug it into the chat. And the lucky person will get the game Bastion, which I believe is quite popular, actually. Let me look at the website.
It's a really good game.
Bastion's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Best narrator ever.
Well, 17,733 reviews, pardon me. Overwhelmingly positive. That's gotta say something about the game.
It's all for the narrator, I promise.
Bastion and Transistor, those two games, damn good.
Never played Transistor.
It's
so
good.
we've got Shane, who voted a 77. We've got Line Massa, who's voted a 24. We've got El Alucardo, El Jefe de los Giveaways, who gave it a 50. And I'm gonna put my own number.
That's like guessing $1 on Price is Right. What is that? Guessing 50.
The person who rolled Opiniops Online, the person who rolled a 13, and I see a few people just jumped into the channel. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
If you want the game giveaway, Bastion, and then we'll move into the Ark Survival Evolve giveaway at the end of the show.
Stylo's guessing twice.
Yeah, Stylo's guessing. What an asshole. Just put a number between 0 and 100. Caitlin is thinking of a magic number, and we'll get back to you after the next trailer. So, Steven, you can roll the next trailer, but Caitlin, please keep an eye, obviously, in the chat, because you're going to be telling us who wins the game. Steven.
I guess we should just continue on. So after that heavy thing, hey, Chris, thanks for joining us again. Thanks for not going to the bathroom on stream.
I the jacket.
Yeah. There you go. So we are going to talk about the best title that I have seen this week, Ultimate Chicken Horse. Hey, what is the name?
Ultimate Chicken Horse is a party platformer where you and your friends build the level as you play, placing deadly traps before trying to reach the end of the level. If you can make it, but your friends can't, you get a point. Play online or locally with your animal buddies and experiment with a wide variety of platforms and all sorts of strange locations to find new ways to mess with your friends.
Shane?
Clever Endeavors Games is a dynamic young team of 3 people, each bringing our unique skill set and experience to the table to create amazing games. We are committed to making games with a focus on unique mechanics rather than basing ourselves on pre-existing genres. And we want to create games that bring people together.
Yay, togetherness.
Chicken
looks like
Horse.
It has a wonderful title. I kind of like that.
That's going to be my name a while now.
Chris, go for yeah. That's a new guild.
Yes.
2 things. 1, you've got wall jumping donkeys. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, you can even see in the trailer a picture of a chicken and a donkey holding console controllers playing on a TV. So it makes me wonder, is this a port?
They actually look like they're gray Genesis controllers to me.
They do look like Genesis controllers.
Yeah.
But makes me wonder that is the heart of this game on mobile? Is that Spectre showing its face again?
That's a fine question. We do happen to have a lot of those derivative games. I think that should just be
even though it claims not to be derivative, very specifically in its own description. But
it's totally unique, and we've never seen it before, except for the time when we've seen it before.
Never saw
chicken
horse
ever.
Well, I don't see too many chicken horses, but Fred?
It's funny because I'm actually gonna go against my own self on this one, and I know it makes no sense. It makes no sense, but I look at this and it's just something that works. There's something that works on that trailer, and I don't know what it is. I mean, I look at it and I think this is actually gonna make a lot of PC gamers happy. And I feel like I'm going against my own self on so many levels right now. That's all. That's it.
First-person shooter.
So why are you going against yourself on this? Is it just the title? Is that why?
Because Chris is right. This is like, is this a port? Is this coming from mobile? All those questions come to my head. But then I just give it a couple seconds and I look at the trailer and I think, yeah, but there's something about this one.
So it's
right, like there's something about this one.
It's the name.
It's totally the name.
It's the name. Ultimate Chicken Horse.
But no, even in the gameplay, I'm curious what you would say, Paris, because I saw you had your hands up. And
he just looks confused on this one.
Yeah, no, I'm just pondering the mechanics of this. It seems like, how to say it, sort of live multiplayer Mario Maker, where you're just.
I can see so many ways to troll the person you're playing with.
Do you design the courses, Paris? I don't know if I didn't miss that, but
yep.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
I missed that bit. Okay.
Here's what I can get from the trailer. You have 2 players. I don't know if it goes higher or not, or if you do it by yourself. But then you each take turns building a piece of the level to reach the flag. And like Mario Maker, the idea is that you want to pass, but you want to make everyone else fail. And like, I mean, I could see the appeal of it because I don't think Mario Maker has that mode for itself. It's always just single players, and this one's a competitive version of that.
Well, Mario Maker has competitive aspects because you can compete.
Right, don't get Chris started on Mario Maker.
Hey, no, Mario Maker is amazing.
Yo, Mario Maker's shit. Mario Maker's one of the coolest games I've ever seen.
Maker
oh my god!
Yeah, Mario Maker's pretty fun.
No, like I'm not even gonna lie. Check this out. Look, I got Mario Maker hat. And I love Mario Maker. Let me tell you.
Shane, how much you selling those hats for?
They are worth money, right?
Chris knows the buying price on eBay, so you watch what you say now.
You know what's funny about this is that Fred is not a big fan of Nintendo. I think everybody on the stream is. So far, we've got
Nintendo is the biggest disappointment in the history of video gaming.
Wait a second. This is the funny part. We've got Pokemon chat in the chat. I don't know why we don't just change ourselves to OP
Everyone in chat's
Noobs.
talking about Pokemon and we're just infighting.
Let's just change ourselves to OP Nintendo. Can we do that?
I'm fine with that, dude. Nintendo is God. Remember that.
Yeah, we'll do a 24-hour stream of Pokemon and Fire, and we'll do Micro Machines. We'll get an old NES.
And I already own an NES. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are wrong.
The old Micro Machines was on PC. It just looked like shit.
Yeah, this is true.
They're too small. The Micro Machines are just too small.
Well, it's in the name, man. It's micro.
Thanks, Steven.
But anyway, still, Fred's wrong. Nintendo's better. Anyway, so that being said, any other closing thoughts about this? And then Beard Man has to go somewhere. He'll be back, but he has to go.
I think we can move on.
I can wait a bit.
We can move on. We can totally move on, but we have to do the giveaway.
No.
No, somebody.
We did.
Tú estás muy malo.
You have to. I already know who it was.
Okay.
Oh,
Who was it?
Yeah.
You have to finish Bastion. Correct.
Okay,
There
it
you go.
was Mac that knife.
All right, Mac.
Yes, I think I've seen him before on the chat.
Yeah,
so
he's-
thanks for tuning in, Matt.
He's my friend.
Thank you.
Oh well, then we need to choose another number. Apparently.
Just kidding.
Nah.
Yeah.
All
he's-
right. So that being said, no, I am just kidding. So we're gonna get to the best game of 2016, hands down. No more voting. No more questions. It is Bus Simulator 16.
Yes, you watch what you said. The developers are cool.
Bus Simulator 16.
Now,
Is it
can
the
I say
sequel
something
to-
actually before we get into the trailers because I have experience in this?
Yeah.
Chris, no, Chris
in
said
buses?
Chris said no. I'm not gonna get in the way of Chris. He said no. Just go. I just want to say that the simulator.
I'm sorry.
Bus
No,
Simulator
seriously,
16.
in the history of game simulators and us running a review game site, the first medium-sized studios to ever give our sorry-ass community game keys were the simulator games. I think it was a Car Mechanic Simulator was one of. Yes, you remember, Steven?
And nobody wanted to review it. We assigned it, and nobody. We basically assigned it, and we lost touch with everybody. It was like the King Tut's.
I just want to say that at the end of the game, at the end of the day, these games sell well because you have a simulator for everything now, from farming to trucking to busing to goating, and this game. So these studios are selling their game, and at the same time, they never.
Goat is a verb now.
It's a no. Yes. To get back, you can I get political, Steven?
Yes.
No.
Get on with goating.
To get back into the super hot interview that we were having earlier on, and can I bash the living crap out of super hot right now?
Super hot? You're gonna bash super hot?
You have those bigger studios, like actually Telltale, like actually the guys who are releasing the simulator games, who are getting pretty decent sized budgets to put their games together. They don't need the smaller sites, and yet they always support the smaller sites because they back up their products. And they feel like, let's spread our name as much as we can. Let's get the smaller communities to do reviews. Let's get them Steam keys. And for me, that is a very, very healthy approach to working with press. And then comes those smaller studios who don't have 10% of the portfolios as bus simulators, Steven.
Yeah.
And they snob the smaller website by not even acknowledging that we made a request for a game key.
So
and I want to point those guys out.
Key for Bus Simulator? Is that what it is?
Yes, we get a Car Mechanic was the first studio. I don't know what the name of the studio.
So,
it's the first studio to say, "Hey, Opiniones is cool. We'll give you a game key." Right?
Wait a second. Let me make sure I can follow your breadcrumbs on this one. So you
on the bus.
Started. You started at the beginning of all this saying that you were going to down Super Hot. What exactly?
He's saying Super Hot would not send us a key.
So you're
I'm saying that Super
what does this have
Hot,
to do with a bus, man?
Because
what does this have to do with a bus?
Because the simulator games, all bus simulator, truck simulator, car mechanic simulator, farming simulator, they have never ever denied us a key from the moment we got established. And I'm saying,
I think even the simulators think.
But you have to understand, these are also much more mainstream. All right, the reason it's funny that you mentioned this because I'm going to hold up.
They are so much more subject.
This is the latest issue of PC Gamer. It's got a full spread, 2-page spread on American Truck Simulator. This is American Truck Simulator. These games are apparently
these games are so much.
I mean, these games apparently are big enough, so I think it makes sense.
They're good YouTube videos.
These games are actually huge.
Yeah, but you back up for me, it's kind of like when you're working with press, you back up your product. You have faith in your product, and you support the local communities regardless of how much traffic they get on their site. And when we've seen most of the majority of small studios do that, because they want to get the game out there, they want to get people talking about the game. But when you see a small studio who's got a game that's been hyped up by just a couple gaming websites, and that kind of snub you as a smaller community, and then immediately the next day I get Bus Simulator and say, "Hey Fred, what's up? Great stuff, beautiful website. Here's a couple keys."
So wait a second.
I want to say, Bus Simulator, man. Like,
wait a second.
Like, that's the spirit, you know.
So
like,
here's the thing. There are a lot of communities out there. There are a lot of websites out there, and it's even pathetic because I go through the Steam forums and I see all these people that can barely spell that say, "I has a YouTube channel. Can you send me a key? I review your game." Because I has 1,000 view subscribe things. That's legit exact copy of a message that I saw earlier today. And the truth of the matter is, most of these developers have maybe 1 or 2 people.
And Super Hot will not give the game.
Yeah, well, they probably don't even know
Wait a second. Hang on. Here's the thing, though. there's so many emails they probably got. You can't say that they did it specifically to snub
no.
us.
Yeah, because
did they actually say no? We don't want to send you.
Way more media attention than most indie titles do. I mean, that Super Hot was huge. I mean, it was like on actual Google News feeds that didn't have the words PC.
But here's the thing,
guys. You're talking to somebody who has 2 years of experience on a daily basis requesting keys. And I can tell you something, that when this type of studios don't even acknowledge the request, I'm seeing a pattern.
Fred, there's a lot of emails that we never get but we never get.
I'm seeing a pattern, and it's not a pattern of like, oops, your email slipped through the cracks. It's those studios that normally nobody knows about, but somehow get noticed by the few biggies. The moment that happens, they shy away from being community friendly and supporting smaller sites. I don't know if they shy away, but I feel they get cocky.
I think it's a little unfair to actually paint any developer without hearing their side of the story as being cocky. The fact of the matter is, apparently Super Hot has gotten a lot of press. It's gotten a lot of attention. It is entirely possible.
They're going to get a review.
It's entirely possible that they just either didn't see the review, or the person that was vetting the emails decided, no, we already got this, we're too busy. That would be like railing on CD Projekt Red, my personal favorite, because I'm Polish. That'd be like saying that CD Projekt Red,
Steven, takes the time to send OP Noobs an email and say, great review.
Gentlemen, we have a lot of games to cover.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah, he's right.
We only have about 2 or 3 more.
Let's move on. It's a bigger...
Fred.
And no more
Super Hot, and let's move on. I said it.
Way too much shit.
We haven't even started the trailer yet. The fact is, this is not a topic for this show right now. So I appreciate it, but we got to get back to the trailer. So I agree with Chris. Chris, start the trailer for Bus Simulator 16, please. And Caitlin, tell us a little bit about this game. I cannot hear you. Are you muted?
Win the daily battle with the clock. Become a bus driver. 6 true-to-life city buses, including Lion City's buses licensed by MAN, and a gigantic, freely accessible world are waiting for you in Bus Simulator 16. Transport your passengers to their destinations across 5 authentic city districts safely and on time. Drive a 2-door, 3-door, or a true-to-life articulated bus through commuter traffic at rush hour. Watch out for emergency vehicles and take detours around construction sites. But watch out, or you will get into trouble for accidents and traffic violations.
Okay, Shane, tell us about the developer on this one.
Still Alive Studios is an ambitious game development team that got together in early 2010 in Innsbruck, Australia. I can't say that word. Over the years, we've mastered the distributed nature of our team, and since 2015, there's even an office in that place I can't pronounce, housing half of members. We focus on exciting core games for PC, Mac, Linux, and have experience with Unity, Steam, VR, eye tracking, BCI, and much more.
So that's actually Innsbruck, Austria.
Innsbruck, thank you.
Yeah, Innsbruck, Austria. So, okay. Getting on topic. Obviously, the simulator games are kind of a big deal. I'm not 100% certain as to why. If I wanted a job with the local, transit authority, I could probably do that. But I don't know. This screams Desert Bus to me, personally. It's just Desert Bus.
That's a great reference, by the way.
I try to pull them out of my ass. Caitlin, what is your opinion on this particular game?
I think it looks really cool. The art and the buses and everything looks so high quality. A lot of the times with simulator games, you see just a lot of blocky. It's not visually appealing. But he really got that down, and I like the little map system. I think this could be a very fun game, and I think a lot of effort and heart was put into it.
Okay. So heart put into essentially a bus driving simulator.
Yes.
Okay. Eli?
Okay, since we're getting all these simulators for different occupations, I'm just wondering, when do I get my security guard simulator for sitting at a desk for hours on end staring at video cameras or walking around jiggling door handles?
We already have Five Nights at Freddy's, sir.
No, that's not a realistic security guard simulator. That's waiting for animatronics to come kill you, and that's not realistic. I need something where I walk around and jiggle door handles for hours on end and have nothing happen.
Wait, Papers, Please was thrown out there in the chat. There you go. You sit there and you stamp papers.
But you're deciding the fate of refugees in that game. I'm talking about a game where nothing happens, where you go and you on doors.
It can't be any worse than Street Sweeper Simulator 2014.
Stanley
look
Parable,
it up.
maybe?
It's a real game.
Wait,
Stanley Parable was actually good.
Yeah, Stanley Parable was pretty damn good.
That
it
was
fun
really
as hell.
cool. Yeah, it was really cool.
What about the Viscera mopping sim? I mean, are we getting to the point where these sim games are getting a little insane, though?
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
This is only borderline slightly less insane than Street Sweeper Simulator, but slightly more insane than Farming Simulator.
Fair enough.
That's where I put it there.
If
Shane, and then we gotta move.
Yeah, if I could drive
you
off,
have to comment on this.
If I could drive off
Well.
when that person's like the handicapped person's loading off, then this game like it wins. It wins.
Oh,
I'm happy.
Jesus.
I'm happy. Totally.
All right. Gotcha.
That's
Paris.
that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm
Paris?
with Shane on that one. Like, if there's a high level of big factor possibility that you could insert into the game and just troll the NPC inhabitants, that would be excellent. Like, that's the appeal of Farming Simulator. Let's buy all of this farming equipment and put it in a gigantic pile and then blow it up. And that's enough. Like,
So you want to treat it
instead
like
of
Kerbal.
just getting a job, like even if you get a job driving a bus, you can't go crashing in the bus. You can't go. Well, you can, but then you would lose that job and go to prison. But you can on this game, and there's some appeal to that, like GTA, but like more.
But you could also do that in GTA. That's the thing. Like, why not just play
Well, you can't
GTA and ride a bus?
The buses in GTA, you could just steal the bus and drive away.
But
Yeah, but this is funnier because the wheelchair is trying to get on the ramp and you just take off.
You're good. You
It
can
could-
mess
it
with
could also
handicapped
be-
people.
Indeed.
So what's the next thing you want to do? You want to let them get on the bus and then forget to put the restraints, and then the wheelchair just flies all over the place?
Yeah,
Oh,
dude,
that'd be
epic,
awesome.
dude.
They're gonna have bus assistant simulator, and they're gonna
I might actually play that. Wait, is
Guys,
there?
you can't be mean and discriminate against our possibly handicapped viewers.
This is true,
guys.
but
only
handy-capable. Damn it.
simulating.
We're talking about pixel
Well-
versions.
Well, this is a simulator. This is probably why I'm not a bus driver. So this gives me the hope and dream and
But
reality of one day being.
is there a short bus? Is the only question I've got. Because if there is,
Well,
it's
that'd
big
be
just-
that'd be a little different. That'd be a paratransit simulator.
That's right. Okay, fair enough. So that being said, we're done with the simulator. Yeah, it's a simulator. What more can you say about it? And now we're gonna get to one of the longer titles tonight. BlazBlue, Chrono Phantasma Extended. Yeah. Oh, look, it's a BlazBlue title. It's an awesome fighting game. So tell us more about it. Go.
BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma Extend is the sixth installment of the BlazBlue series, a combination of 2D fighting action game and visual novel. The game incorporates flashy performance and unique fighting moves with the drive button system to quickly take down the opponent. Now players can dish out super powerful guard crush attacks when their opponent's barrier gauge is low, and with the revamped guard system. A player can quickly turn the tide of battle by using BlazBlue's unique mechanic, Overdrive, to enhance his skills and abilities. The two new characters, Celica and Delta 11, or A11, I don't know what that is, joining the roster, the player will be able to choose from 28 different playable characters. Also, a story mode named Remix Heart is newly added, featuring two characters, Mai Natsume and Kajun Beika.
And Squiddy,
Yes.
go.
And
What can you tell us about these guys?
Arc System Works, developer of world-class fighting games such as Guilty Gear and BlazBlue series, is excited to announce that they will be releasing Guilty Gear XRD Sign. Melty Blood actress again, current code. Under Night and Birth EXE, late, I guess I'm saying that right. What? River City Super Sports Challenge All-Star Special. Published by H2 Interactive and BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma Extended. I'm getting all tripped up here.
Wow,
Published by H2 Interactive on PC game distribution platform Steam. I don't think it was copied right.
That was one of the worst copy pastes we've ever done.
Yeah,
on
that
this
was
show.
pretty bad. Although
I'm really glad that you were wearing the squid hat for that
A
one.
lot of
it
those
made
are actually
it
original
made it
copy.
better.
Don't,
Okay,
for-
but-
don't
Can I say something though about this game?
Yeah.
Okay, so I love BlazBlue. I love Arc. I love Arc System. I had a chance to meet with these guys over my course of playing, playing back in Houston, playing with Street Fighter, taking it to that professional level. And I just want to say that if they're listening and if they see this, you guys just fucking rock. I love you guys. Guilty Gear is amazing, and I absolutely looking forward to this game. Arcana Hearts is amazing, and I have their games on every platform. So that's just how I feel about it.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else that has played? Because there's a lot of BlazBlue. Is it BlazBlue or BlazBlue?
Whichever. I bet okay. BlazBlue is what the anime freaks will say.
Yeah, so I mean, if you played a Guilty Gear game, I think that's sacrilege for me to say, but if you played a Guilty Gear game, you've played BlazBlue.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. What exactly sets the two apart, Shane? Since you know a little bit more about it.
Well, what happened is Sammy came up with Guilty Gear, and unfortunately, Sammy fell susceptible to the corporate greed of the gaming industry, and the developers didn't like that too much, and so they went off and made their own studio. And unfortunately, they didn't own the rights to their characters, so they ended up making BlazBlue, which is essentially a carbon copy of Guilty Gear. Now, as it went on, they got their respect back, and as you can see, they got Guilty Gear back. So, but by this point, BlazBlue already had a strong foothold in the whole Evo community. And so they just couldn't get rid of it. You know what I mean? So they just kind of, they just have both games now. But yeah, they're essentially the same thing.
And it should be mentioned that this is a big title for the Evo, for the fighting game enthusiasts, for the tournaments and for esports. And hey, just so we can do a brief plug, Chris, don't we do stuff with esports too? Chris?
We're doing so well.
I'm so sorry. My mouse was freaking out. I was clicking on the unmute button. It wouldn't do anything. Anyways, yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that. We have the Red Solstice Community Tournament. It is coming up on April 16th to 17th. It is our very first tournament for esports for Indie, and it's going to be fucking awesome. Go to www.opnoobs.com, click on E4I, find the Red Solstice link. You will find it. It's not hard to find. Click register and join up. It's going to be great. We'd love to have you, so please be there or be square.
I really have no soul after all that pitching. So that being said, getting right back to this. So BlazBlue, Fred, I saw your hand was up. I know this isn't exactly your type of game, but what do you feel about this?
No, it's not my type of game, but I have to say, this game looks as good as the trailer was bad. It's no, it's true. It's the type of stuff are you serious? It's we touched a little bit about bad PR last week when we talked about that game. I forget the name now.
Well, that's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes this game looks actually sick when you actually get into the footage of the trailer and the ways they've approached combat. It looks like something I would definitely want to play. But then to the whole exclamation point culture of putting together trailers and saying, "Hey, we've got new stories," especially when it comes the storylines of I've never cared about combat fighting games and the storylines behind the characters. Just the whole approach was a little bit I don't like. Essentially, what I'm saying is that I don't like when PR takes me for an idiot.
Well, I don't think it's so much an idiot. It's that BlazBlue is a big enough name nowadays that it's presumed that they already know about it. It's just like how with Street Fighter, you kind of already know.
Yeah. So but I mean, your messaging is your messaging. Bring it down to the roots.
Fair.
Don't advertise in a way that's so childlike. We're gamers.
I guess my question is, what's
it's you don't watch a movie.
Or you don't like it because of the.
No, I'm literally talking about the marketing here. I'm not talking about the game at all.
He's focusing literally on the trailer, which is kind of the point of the.
Yeah, it's
the show.
The way the trailer is put together it's really condescending to the gaming community as a whole. It's you never go to a movie and then watch a bunch of trailers with Brad Pitt. With Angelina Jolie. Aren't you excited?
They put that
you
in trailers all the time.
That's how I hear it. No, I feel like the messaging is just really insulting.
I don't know, man. I love these guys.
Well,
I'm not saying
but you have a squid on your head, so what do you know?
That's right, man. I'm just saying. I had a chance to meet these guys at Evo, and I love these guys, and I think they're
even the
just
squid
amazing.
is rolling its eyes at that one.
The game looks great, and I'm not taking credit away from that. The game looks great. I just think the trailer is poorly put together.
The trailer is really
what Shane said too. I do know that this has got some pretty serious cult backing, kind of like Street Fighter, but almost
Oh yeah.
Can't ignore that. Can't ignore that.
This is the hardcore. I mean, this is, you have to understand like the significance this has in the fighting community.
I think you guys are missing the point of my
Capcom
argument. I'm not saying this.
No,
I'm saying the marketing of this trailer is awful. That's all I'm saying. The game looks great.
The trailer itself does leave a lot to be desired if you take it just on the trailer. Wow, you got Napoleon Dynamite there, Fred.
No,
that's true. But I'm not criticizing.
Oh my God, that's two French jokes in a row in one joke. That was great. I didn't even expect that. But yeah,
just saying, like we're not 12.
Yeah,
actually, Shane is in his late 20s.
Leave Fred alone. God.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know, man. Like this, BlazBlue is just widely respected, and it's where the hardcore fighters went from when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out. It didn't do so well.
So
it was popular.
Treat them like hardcore fighters. Don't treat them like sixth graders.
That's what this is, though.
Coming out of
school. The trailer. That's what this is. Like it's the next installment, man. It's like, you know, they got new characters. They're bringing it to it. You know, they're showing that, you know, they're in this trailer. I guess if you're not a fighting game fan, BlazBlue is never going to appeal to you. And what I mean by that is you can't just like Street Fighter casually. And I'm not saying you're not allowed to like BlazBlue. What I'm saying is BlazBlue is a very complicated fighting game that has this is the reason why it has so much respect.
And it looks like that. It looks like that. I'm with you, Shane.
If you're not a fan, it's never going to.
No, but I'm not fighting you, Shane. Like I am with you.
He is legitimately saying that the trailer itself sucks.
Yeah, this game looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it is awesome.
It is. It looks fucking awesome.
The trailer is playing on the conceit that you already know about it. You're already a fan of the series.
No, and the game is treating you like the game is treating you like you're a kid from South Korea.
Well, you know, that might be the focus. I mean, have you seen the majority of the Evo players? I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, it'd be like a commercial for StarCraft, but that's getting onto a whole other topic. So, speaking of games that look really like other games, Path of Exile Ascendancy, which is probably the most pretentious title I've ever heard. Caitlin, tell us a little bit about Path of Exile, or otherwise known as Diablo Light.
You know, if you got 10 minutes left.
You are an exile,
only got 2 left.
Struggling to survive on the dark continent of Rayclast as you fight to earn power that will allow you to extract your revenge against those who wronged you. Created by hardcore gamers, Path of Exile is an online action RPG set in a dark fantasy world. With a focus on visceral action combat, powerful items, and deep character customization, Path of Exile is completely free and will never be pay to win.
And the developers?
Grinding Gear Games was founded in 2006 in Auckland, New Zealand, and founding members come from various countries and have a selection of diverse backgrounds ranging from artificial intelligence and software security to industrial design to professional tournament gameplay.
I played Path of Exile for a while, and I just found it to be wanting and lacking. I mean, I wanted something that was less Diablo 3 and more Diablo 2, and so I played this for about a year, and I just never really felt all that keen on it. Chris, you had your hand up? Go.
Well, no, I mean, you kind of said it. I was like, even the spheres for mana and health are so similar to Diablo. I mean, they really almost adopted the UI. It's like an unabashed ripoff. It's not even trying. I mean, it just is Diablo.
But at the same time, some people have said that this is better than Diablo. I think this game came out.
Well, it's one of those things where I felt like people were like, we know what we want out of Diablo, and Blizzard isn't doing that, so we're just going to go do that. You know what I mean? And so I understand that it's not necessarily wrong, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with that. If you can do a better job than the original creator has done, then kudos to you. But you said yourself that you played it for a year and you didn't feel that way, and I feel like, man, you give it a try for a year and it's not good enough.
I just felt like it was a situation where I had played the living hell out of Diablo 2, and I'd still love to have that Necro class back. Blizzard, if you're listening, come on. And I just felt like it was I could never understand why there was so much love for it. I think it was just because people were so hard on to hate Blizzard for the changes they made in Diablo 3 between 2 and 3 that they were desperate for anything. Almost like with the SimCity crowd hating on SimCity and preferring City Skyline because, hey, at least it's not that.
Yeah.
That was just the way I saw it. Eli, and then Fred, and then we have 2 more to go.
Okay, so I did play Path of Exile for a little while. I never got into Diablo like that, and just didn't seem that appealing to me. But I tried out Path of Exile because it was free, and you know, based on that, obviously I can't make a comparison between the two of them. But Path of Exile, in and of itself, it was okay. You know, it did some things that were kind of neat, but it wasn't anything that I felt particularly emphatic about. Like, I wasn't going to go out of my way to want to play it all the time. It was kind of a time waster for me. So I don't see an add-on for that being any more interesting. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Fred? As the only other person here that likes Diablo, apparently.
Yeah, well, I love Diablo. I'm probably gonna piss a whole lot more people off with the following statement: is can we just stop treating Diablo as a genre and acknowledge that this is a game that belongs to Blizzard, that was produced by Blizzard, and that you may copy but you may not innovate on because it is so restricted in what it does. We're actually talking earlier on about the clicking, that stop trying to make stop trying to evolve the Diablo style. Diablo lives on its own. It is a unique cornerstone masterpiece of the gaming industry that really differentiates itself from any other game from the fact that it is not a genre and it will never be. So stop trying to make copies of Diablo and having Diablo evolve. Diablo is Diablo, period.
I agree with you just because I don't think that the copies are any more interesting than the original. And the original wasn't that interesting to me.
Well, it was mentioned down in the chat about Champions of Norath, which I own, and Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and Dark Alliance 2, both of which are owned. Caitlin, you mentioned actually that game directly. So how do you feel going from that to this?
It's hard for me to think about Diablo in any light at all because my first introduction to the series was Diablo 3. Mm-hmm. My first introduction to Diablo clones, however, was when I was a kid, and it was with those games, and it was on console. It was much smoother, and when I played Diablo 3, I was kind of disappointed at first because I thought it was going to be like that or more like Torchlight, and it wasn't what I wanted out of the game. And I don't know if, like you were saying, Path of Exile might have been designed by people who felt like they weren't getting what they wanted out of Blizzard games right now or ever.
I legitimately feel that if it weren't for, and Fred, you can think that you've got the corner on controversy. I legitimately feel that if Diablo 3 had been more like Diablo 2, we wouldn't even be talking about Path of Exile. I'm convinced that the only reason PoE even has a fan base is because some people are so, I hate using this term, so salty about the changes to Diablo that they went nuts. Shane, and then we got to move on.
Wait, you asshole. Sword and Keyboard just said, I enjoy Fred's passion, so there, F you.
How much did you pay
and
Fred?
No, I did nothing. Thank you, Sword and Keyboard, because I am a passionate guy, and I feel strongly about these things, and they do not...
It's the wine, guys. That's all it is.
And second of all, there is another comment from Fishin, which I think is very newsworthy, because it's Grim Dawn. And Grim Dawn, I don't know if you've heard of it, but just came out. And I actually looked at it today because a reviewer requested it. And Grim Dawn is another Diablo clone, but might be very different as well. And I've covered it.
I can just throw a couple of bits out there. Grim Dawn, no. End of. That's all the conversation we need to have about Grim Dawn.
Apparently, everyone listens to me.
I know, Eli.
No,
according to Sword and Keyboard, everyone listens to me. I don't know who these people are, but apparently they do.
I refill when Eli speaks.
We actually do listen to Eli. It's just that he just kind of sits there and waits for the perfect moment to rip something apart. And I really do feel that we need to get you a T-shirt that says "Fueled by Alcohol." I really do.
Indeed. I'll go with that.
Squid, you got a tentacle up. Go. And
yeah,
then
man. Yeah, dude. So just to touch a little bit on what Fred said first. This is secondary to my primary point, but he's absolutely right. Don't touch Blizzard. Blizzard is the shit. Blizzard is the king. They have
Blizzard
their own genre. They have their own.
It certainly used to be.
They have their own genre. You're not going to touch it. Leave it alone. It's not happening. Okay, they're Blizzard. Going on Path of Exile, let's be really clear here, okay? I'm a huge fan of Diablo. I love Diablo. Okay, so let's get one thing clear here. Path of Exile would not be successful if it was not for the auction house blunder they had on Diablo 3.
Exactly.
This is what made the Path of Exile, when they first launched,
Can you expand on that? Yeah.
They were using the D2's engine and banking on the fact that people would play it because it was remnants of Diablo 2 and how the speccing system worked without the auction house. In fact, that's how they advertised it. And once Blizzard fixed the auction house problem, after that, it just disappeared in the nether. No one cared again. And so when I see this, I see, oh, this is Diablo 3, but we're doing it right. I hate to say it. You're not doing it right, all right? Because you're not Blizzard. Get over it. Let's move on. Blizzard is awesome. I love Diablo. I just got a level 70 character again to hardcore last night.
Yeah, and who plays Victor Vran in 2016?
I did. Well, actually, no. I played it last year, and it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be totally honest with you,
I hate to say it, and actually,
it's just a fact.
Although I liked it better than Diablo 3. I did like it better than Diablo 3.
Fred.
Yeah, I just want to say, to finish up on that, I think it's sad that Diablo 3 is a sequel done well, and Diablo 3 is a game that is not getting a lot of love from the Blizzard folks as far as updates.
Yeah.
I find that sad.
It's just because of the issues that they had at the beginning. They had a bad director leading it. I'm glad he's off of it. And let's face it, the auction house.
I think
the
he
first
died,
impression.
Shane.
I mean,
I think he died.
It doesn't bother me. The game got better. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here, but I mean, I pay a lot of money for my game, and he released Diablo 3. The game wasn't that good.
Caitlin, your microphone.
Oh, I'm muted.
No, go ahead, Shane.
Oh, okay. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just happy that he's no longer on it, and I'm happy that I can enjoy the game. Diablo 3 to me is still awesome. It's Diablo. What are you going to do? It's Blizzard.
I mean, like, when they released the Diablo 3 expansion, it blew me away, and it pulled me into the game. Like, I was hooked again. I think OPN died for a couple weeks just because of it.
It did.
Yeah, and you know, I was
get this modern Diablo. Like, is it only me that wants to move away from the click fest? Am I the only one that's just sick of constantly clicking on things?
I don't think it's that, dude.
I want to click on shit. I can play Minesweeper.
Just want more clicking to make sense.
I just think it's Blizzard. I mean,
Chris, I agree with you. I don't want to deal with that anymore.
I'm just so sick of clicking on shit, and like in a way
that's all games are at the end of the day.
No, but I mean, I understand that. But I mean, I want to feel
the one button interface.
Shane,
real-time strategies don't count. All right, that doesn't count.
But I think the bigger conversation here is: do you really think that seasons were the way to go, Shane? Because to me,
no, I do not. I don't think seasons were the way to go, but it's what they did with what they had. Let's face it, Blizzard did not have a lot after the blunder they did when they first came out, and they had to figure out a way where they could keep the player engaged.
I feel like seasons is lazy updating.
Seasons is a lazy way to do it. I absolutely 100% agree with you on this, but it's still Diablo. I still have fun with it. I think something could be better from seasons. I wish they would have took a little bit more from Diablo 2, but I think that they were really limited with
because season is a reset on intensity every season, and I feel that's a shame because what's awesome about Diablo is the climb in intensity the more your character evolves.
Right.
And you want more and more and more of that. You want it to get more crazy, and you want to have more.
They got that to an extent, right, with the rifts and stuff. I mean, and the new system. So I mean, it's there. It's just that you have to redo it every season. So I mean, that's
that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. Losing progress is always bad.
I love your hat, Vo.
Oh, wait a second.
Let's get to the
Light Masa. Hang on a second. Light Masa in the chat said that PC Diablo 3 needs controller support. I wish I had a Daniel Bryan gif right now because no, we do not need controller support for Diablo on PC.
Steven feels strongly about this.
I disagree. It would make the game better. It would make the game better.
Absolutely
from the
not.
Nintendo guy.
Some games work better with controller. I don't know about Diablo 3, but it's good to give people options.
The only games
that
they
want to play.
Definitely not controllable are FPSs and real-time strategies. And you could argue me on the FPS, but man, Diablo is begging for controller support.
No,
it's a top-down. It's a top-down action RPG.
Oh my!
No. Diablo 3, no. If there's ever Diablo 4, which probably there won't.
I played Victor Brand on a controller, and that's what made it better than Diablo.
Don't listen to the Nintendo guys. Steven, get to the last trailer.
And also, that being said, Shadows of Mordor is nothing more than Assassin's Creed skinned. That's all I'm saying.
We're about to give away Ark. Before we get to the very last trailer, we're going to give away Ark Survival Evolved.
We're on 2 last trailers.
Yes.
Yeah, we have 2 more trailers.
No, skip one. It's 10.
No, we're not gonna skip one.
All right, then let's move. Let's move. All right, Caitlin.
It's got the second best title ever with
Shard
Light.
I just want Paris. I want Paris to keep editing tomorrow, so
it'll be fine.
He's on Western time. It'll be fine.
Go.
It'll be fine. Shard Light. Go.
Okay. The world ended on the day the bombs fell. Since then, it's always been like this. Disease, hunger, death. The ruling aristocrats, a faceless oligarchy that controls all resources, have unchallenged authority. There's never enough food, water, or vaccine to go around. The rich receive regular doses of vaccinations in exchange for their unconditional government support. The poor live in fear, superstition, and squalor until they die.
So basically, it's real life.
Die.
Effectively, Squid. Tell us about the developers.
Founded in 2006, Wadjet Eye Games has developed a reputation for producing award-winning and critically acclaimed adventure games for the PC. The company's award-winning portfolio includes the Shiva and the Blackwell series, both of which have garnered Game Developer Choice nominations. Puzzle Box, which was selected for Penny Arcade Expo's PAX 10 showcase, and IGF's Student Showcase winner, Gemini Rue. Wadjet Eye Games is located in Park Slope, Brooklyn.
Ooh, Brooklyn.
Crazy.
I'm getting some severe old LucasArts feels. Anybody else getting that?
Isn't that right? I was thinking that too, dude. I was like,
this looks a lot.
What do they call those types of games?
The point and click, the adventure.
But they're like flood games or mug games, or there's a name for them.
Something like that. I don't know what.
Someone in chat help us out here.
But I'm getting the one game that's really jumping. No, it's point and click, but there's something else to it. It feels a lot like Full Throttle. To me, just the animation style looks like Full Throttle, but God, this is a gorgeous looking game, though. Caitlin, go.
I often play the point and click games for us, and this one looks different than the point and click games I've been repeatedly playing. So I say we should definitely review it because it looks kind of cool. But it's so depressing looking too. I like dark.
But that's the idea, right? I
mean,
yeah, Shane, go.
Okay, so you know why this looks impressive? Because this makes me think about the first-person shooter thing. Okay, about how they say, well, because it's not accessible, we can't think of new ways. See, that's bullcrap. You're looking at this right here, and you can see they thought about it. They put time into it. They didn't just put a wallpaper. They created the background and the foreground to look similar and to work with each other. And that's why you're looking at it, and you're like, man, this looks interesting. Like, regardless of how the gameplay actually plays, that's one thing. That's my biggest concern is it fun? But the game itself does look interesting. That's because they thought about it. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. Chris?
So what I was trying to think of before was called Scum Games. I hope Eli's
on the Scum engine.
On the Scum engine. And I had to look up like LucasArts emulators just to find it. You can actually download Scum VM boxes, which is kind of interesting. Emulators just for Scum. I'm not advocating, of course, theft. But LucasArts is defunct, and most of these games can't be played on Windows now anyways.
Actually, the mouse owns all that now. We can't talk about that anymore.
Oh, of course Disney did buy them. But they did really re-release Monkey Island and a few of the other Scum games that were really popular. So, and I think... yeah, and some of those other ones, I wish I could remember more of them. But those Scum games were excellent. They were just excellent. And if this is following in that tradition, then I really sincerely hope it comes down to narrative, but I hope they live up to that.
I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of humor in this post-apocalyptic thing, but
It only has to be good. It doesn't have to be funny.
This is true. But at the same time, we want to talk about derivative. We want to talk about reboots. We want to talk about same old, same old. How many times has the world ended in video games at this point? I have lost
17.
count. 17
yeah. Almost as many times as your character woke up with no memory.
Yeah, there are certain tropes that are just getting so tired, and I'm tired of space. I'm tired of post-apocalyptia. I'm tired of space and post-apocalyptia together.
Space still counts as space.
Zombies.
This is true. Even like office simulators like Stanley Parable, which I referenced earlier, which apparently stuff happened and you don't know what happened.
That game was better in
like
VR.
This is true, but it just seems like it's one of those things where if you need a quick storyline but you don't want to think about one, make the world end, and then do a survival thing. That's just the feeling I'm getting from it. Am I just totally off base on this one, Paris?
No, I'm feeling a lot of that Oscar discussion before, with everything needing to be all deep and sad and drama-filled. And there's no better way to get every character in a dreadful situation than to just end the world and then just to have the story be about who's left. That everyone could be just full of sadness and sorrow and, I don't know, anger and just hacking it out against each other. So, if you want drama, make the world end. That's fast, quick, easy, like presto, changeo. Yeah, story.
So, Fred, as the one that kind of kicked off that discussion, don't you feel a little tired of apocalyptic games? I mean, we've had a lot of them over the years. We can say that now, and of course with Fallout and all that. Is this just lazy storytelling?
No, yeah, no. To keep it short, because we're going over time.
We got one more.
Yeah, to keep it short, I would say that this is a type of game that. Yeah, the artwork looks amazing, and at the same time, yeah, the gameplay looks very, very, very playable, I guess, for lack of a better term. So I'm definitely one to read this review.
Okay, Eli, and then we're gonna move on to the last giveaway, and then we're gonna do the last trailer.
Okay, so like you were saying, a lot of games will wind up going with the post-apocalyptic scenario because it's an easy scenario. It's something that they grab onto because they're like, hey, that's something I can think of something I could do during that scenario. They're like just focusing on one little facet of the thing that they think they can do better than other people, but it's a really common thing in a lot of what games do. Look at all the World War II games that are out there. They just have minor variations between each other. And it's a lack of creativity with the people making the games. They're not coming up with an original story. They're taking somebody else's story and going, hey, I could do this little thing differently. I think that would sell well. They're not, it's just not creative. That's the big problem. There's not enough creativity in the games that are
there's
coming
a lot
out.
of I hate to extend the conversation, but there's a lot of creativity in that game. That game we just saw.
Just not the storyline, it seems.
I'm saying
and that's fine.
I'm saying that that they're taking an overarching story that already exists and they're just trying to evolve it into something else. They might have individual creative ideas, but the concept as a whole is not creative.
But that's okay.
It's okay to a certain extent.
For a game, that's okay.
I don't think that you should really say that a game shouldn't be creative.
No,
I mean, that is kind of the idea.
I think this game is very creative. It's not just not in the arc story. It's not, and that's okay.
Yeah, a game like this, if you're going to have beautiful art, you kind of do want to have a good story to go along with it, unless you're not the kind of person that likes storylines, which is fair enough.
I just think this game shows potential, and it might be bad. It might be bad. I think it shows potential, though.
Could be said of any of the games on this list. And speaking of, we're going to get to the final giveaway of the evening. Probably the one everybody's been waiting for.
Yes, the one everybody's been waiting for.
Wait, but before we do that, can I do one final plug?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to do 2 plugs. I'm actually going to go ahead and do 2 plugs. One of them, the first one is for the Red Solstice Community Tournament. It's coming up on April 16th to 17th. That's real soon. Go to opnoobs.com, click on E4I, and look for the registration page for the Red Solstice Community Tournament. It's going to be awesome. April 16th to 17th. Go there, be there. The next one is our little Patreon. It gets ignored a lot. You know, at OP Noobs, we write a lot of reviews, and those reviews aren't free. And we could really use community support to help us keep getting the games that we don't get free CD keys for. Because sometimes indie developers, they're just not so good at the business side. We still want to review their games, so we got to buy them.
They're not super hot.
They're not. That's right. And you know what? And the games could be super hot, but their PR team might not be. So please donate to our Patreon. We could really use the extra funding. This is totally a for free and non-for-profit, completely unpaid organization. None of us make a dime, and Fred is bleeding from all the money that we spend of his. So please donate to our Patreon and take us to the El giveaway, please.
Caitlin, it's all you actually, Caitlin. You have to think of a number between... Caitlin, do you have the number between 0 and 100?
Between 1 and 5.
Yes.
Caitlin has the number. Everybody, please put in the channel for a chance to win the giveaway Ark Survival Evolved. Plug in a number between 0 and 100, and the closer you are to Caitlin, the more chances you will have to actually get a copy of the game. Here we go. We already have Slave to Machine. God knows who that is. Into the chat. Playing the game. I'm also going to plug it in, even though I have it.
If you already have it, why are you putting in a number?
So I can give it away again.
No, we give it away now, not again.
Give it away. I won't do it, Steven. Anyway, in the meantime, while people vote, Caitlin, please pay attention, and Steven, take us to the very last trailer.
And the very last trailer, speaking of derivative, folks, is Tom Clancy's The Division. Caitlin?
Black Friday, a devastating pandemic sweeps through New York City, and one by one, basic services fail. In only days, without food or water, society collapses into chaos. The Division, an autonomous unit of tactical agents, is activated. Leading seemingly ordinary lives among us, these agents are trained to operate independently in order to save society. Welcome to a next-gen experience in a persistent and dynamic open-world environment that is built from the ground up for co-op and where exploration and player progression are essential. Teaming up with other Division agents, your mission is to restore order, investigate the source of the virus, and take back New York.
Shane? Tell us about this developer we've never heard about ever in.
I know, right? I mean, it's Ubisoft. Apparently, they're in France, next to Montreal.
That's the Montreal studio, the guys behind The Division.
And yeah, it's Ubisoft.
Montreal's in France, really? I didn't know
that. It's like Canada, which is part of South Africa or something.
Headquartered in Montreal, France.
I thought it was China.
No, it's northern China.
All right, so obviously we're never going to get an interview with Ubisoft at this point, so that's great. Yeah. Chris, what are your thoughts?
So I remember seeing like glimpses of this game before, or like around when Xbox One and PlayStation 4 I think had been released, or maybe like they were about to be released during that E3. I can't remember, but this game was actually shown as being the like next gen game before many of the other next gen games that we now see have come out. So I find it kind of interesting that it took them this long to make it. And I take a look at this and I go, well, shit, like this, they can't do what Call of Duty's doing. They must be smarter than that because they're Ubisoft, right? And they're hopefully, for the love of God, not doing another Battlefield game, because Battlefield's got like a game coming out all the time too, just like Call of Duty. So I'm gonna really hope that maybe there's just a little bit of Splinter Cell in this, and it's actually gonna be a really, really fun game. And I really sincerely hope that it's got that like puzzle, a slight bit of puzzle solving with some really good action mixed in with some like, cool story. It could be great. Some Tom Clancy games are great. And I just so want this to be better than Call of Duty and better than fucking campaign Battlefield. I really do. So I'm hoping. I got my fingers crossed because, man, it looks pretty.
Yeah, well, it just seems a little weird for Ubisoft to release a game that doesn't have a lot of stabbing and a lot of white sheets.
As long as I can kill someone with a tomahawk from 40 yards away, I'm okay.
Hey, you could do that in reality. I'm just saying. Caitlin, before you take off...
I don't know what reality you live in.
What? You got something to say about this, do you? What do you got to say?
Okay, so I've been watching The Lovely Roommate. I don't know if he's playing the beta or whatever. He has been playing this, okay? Yeah. And I was so unimpressed by what it looked like. Like, the graphics look like they were made years ago. It looks bad, okay? And I was, like, looking at it, and it just doesn't seem like it's cutting edge or anything. But it is a little bit different from the rest of the slew of military shooters he plays. Okay, it was different from the other Tom Clancy game that he's been playing repeatedly. It has like some weird talent system where you have to actually build your character, which is interesting. And it looked interesting from a gameplay standpoint, but a graphics standpoint, it was bad. Number two, the character jogs around the city like the apocalypse is not happening. He looks like he's out for a run.
So... Well, maybe he's just so bored by apocalypse situations that he doesn't care anymore. He's got a gun. He's cool. Yeah, probably. Wow, your squid hat left. Shane, your opinion.
Yeah, so I'm a huge person for like co-op play. Like I said, I've played for many years, and I've been following Division since it first started. And I'm also a huge Tom Clancy fan, although this has nothing to do with his books. But with that being said, if you guys are familiar with Ultima Online, this is what this is, except for the modern day age. So think of that.
Ultima Online, right?
Ultima Online?
Right. Just to make sure I heard you correctly.
Oh, you did. This is.
Wait, I need to hear this. How does this?
So this is taking the traditional old school MMO world where it was unforgiving. So for a lot of people in here who's been playing PC games for many years, understand what I'm about to say. You can team up with people to go into raids, to go into dungeons, or to combat other people. And if you die, you lose your stuff. But keep in mind, your party team members can actually turn on you in the middle of the fight and take your stuff. This is essentially an MMO for the Call of Duty crowd. This is what this is. They're trying to revolutionize the shooting genre by introducing the old school elements of the MMO world, but bringing it to light with this, the whole shooter aspect behind it. Now, my personal opinion is I don't like the fact that my teammate can kill me and rob my stuff. I mean, literally, you can complete a mission and then they can kill. So what happens is you can walk around zones where it's friendly zones, but the main zones where there's loot, where there's bosses, where there's elites and awesome treasure chests, or chests, excuse me. When you're in there, those are PvP zones, and it's all fair game. So you can team up with a group of people, and you can kill somebody else who's not even paying attention to you. And then right when you're ready for evac, right, because you have to evac, you just can't leave. Someone on your team can just say, "Up, guess what? I want all the loot for myself. I'm not going to distribute it. I'm just going to kill everybody." Tosses a grenade, kills you, takes all your stuff, and now he has everything.
Wow, I didn't know this is an MMO. I didn't realize that.
So it's H1Z1 is essentially what I'm getting.
Well, no, it sounds more like Destiny with PvP that you can't turn off.
Well, it's not first person. I
mean Destiny that people are playing.
Yeah, it's third person. The reason why I say Ultima Online is because this really makes me feel like Ultima Online, where like you can get just backstab, people take your stuff. You have to be very protective of who you team up with, be very protective where you're at. You can't just walk around. I mean, you can walk around in the safe zones, but be very careful once you start walking around in the main zones. It's fair game. Like, no matter where you turn, it's fair game. So that's what this game is.
That's pretty cool. That's interesting.
So
yeah, it definitely does look different.
It looks different. So,
it does.
that being said, though, is it brings it back to, do we even really need a story in a shooter? I mean, I've quoted it before, but John Romero, the essentially Godfather of Doom, has basically said that having a story in a video game is akin to having a storyline or a plot in a porn. It's there, but you don't necessarily need it. For a game like this, for a setup like this, essentially a pseudo MMO, do you even really need a story? Does it matter? Does the setting even matter at that point? Anyone?
Isn't that what Tom Clancy's for? Doesn't he bring that?
I mean,
Tom Clancy. Clancy by himself is derivative as hell.
I just think that they're trying to introduce. I'm not a big fan. They lost me. I was a firm believer in this game since the beginning. They lost me when they decided to make your players, friendly fire essentially. Where your teammates can kill you. That's where they lost me in this game. And I know people are making a comparison to Destiny, and I think that's because Destiny is the most recent thing out. But this game is nothing like Destiny. I played Destiny for a very long time. I've been following this game for a very long time. It's nothing like Destiny. It's not even close. I mean, you duck behind walls, you cover. There's a much more sophisticated talent system.
So it's Gears of War.
It's kind of like, well, it's not that fast paced. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's very strategic. Okay, so there's classes, there's talents. I think you guys you see the shooting and you think immediately that it's just a normal shooter, but it's like Caitlin said, she's watching it, she's like, it's a shooter, but there's something different about it. And what makes it different is it's not just a shooter. I give them kudos for creating something new, but where they lost me is that I do not like how my own team members can just kill me and take my stuff. That is just a horrible decision, and I don't agree with it.
Well, I mean, isn't that one of... See, to a point, I kind of agree and disagree. It means that you have to stay on your toes. I mean, especially in the fact that you're being thrown into essentially a multiplayer. I think that it adds an additional little bit of a hook. It's a gimmick.
You got to have real friends. Like, you got to have real legit friends to play this game.
I'll admit, I player kill. I'm one of those jackasses. I totally admit that. So I actually think this kind of brings people together and realize that if you're already going to be playing in an apocalypse setting, people are going to do that. I mean, if an apocalypse ever happens, when shit hits the fan, I guarantee you people are going to be backstabbing each other left and right. And so I really kind of think that this is accurate. Eli, what you think?
So outside of the PvP stuff for this game, I played it for a little bit on open beta to see what it was like and everything, because it looked like it could be a pretty cool game. But for me in particular, the problems that I had with it were the way that you wind up going about like combat and stuff in the game. It feels relatively realistic, but it's just kind of like you're being sent from one place to another, to fight this group of people and then fight this group of people. Like it doesn't really make me give a shit about what I'm doing. Like it's just sending me from one place to the next to do the same stuff. And at the same time, even bigger of a problem was like it has all these different mechanics or stuff that you can do. And as soon as you start playing the game, it just kind of chucks all the stuff at you and goes, okay, you can do this and you can do this and you can do this and you can do this. But realistically, even if you're trying to do all those things to figure out like what you want to do, you can kind of only do one thing at a time. So it like throws everything at you, and then you can't do everything at once. So you have to try to remember the stuff later. And it's just like, well, why? You're just making it more of a mess for me to want to sift through, and I don't feel like it.
Okay, fair. Fred?
Just would it be extremely hypocritical for me to say that you guys are judging a game that hasn't come out yet?
I played it, Fred.
You played the demo.
I played the beta, which is
it's a demo.
Pretty close.
I've played the game and followed it. Like
anything,
I don't know. Star Wars Battlefront was basically the same as its beta.
I think you can attack the Division for releasing a demo to hype up its sales under the name of a beta. But I don't think you can attack. Let me finish. I don't think you can attack the Division for releasing a demo and then judging the game based off of a demo. I think the demo is there just to give you And it's not just I'm not just reacting to your comments, Eli. I'm reacting to all the comments. I feel like this is one game where I want to stay on the cautious side and say let's wait until it releases and let's see what it's got.
Okay, but Fred, a demo is where you get a portion of the game, like you're given a specific little piece of the game to give you a taste of what it's like. A beta is, essentially a game that is feature complete, that's in bug testing.
Yeah, it's bullshit that they called it beta. They should not have called it beta. It was.
But even if it's a demo, the way they went about stuff,
it's bullshit. They did that.
But even if they called it a demo, the way they went about stuff wasn't very appealing. And, the demo is supposed to be showing you why you want to play the game.
Sure, and maybe they failed at that. It doesn't mean that we still don't know what we've got here.
Okay. Shane?
Right.
Wario? Yes?
So I strongly agree with what Fred is saying here, and the reason why I'm agreeing with him on this. Now, I agree with Eli too that a demo is what you are telling me. This is why you should buy this game. But here's what I'm getting at with Tom Clancy's Division. It's like playing the demo of Warcraft. It is absolutely impossible to the demo essentially is playing the game for free to level 20. You're not going to know anything about Warcraft to level 20. And that's the problem here with Division. Division is an expansive game. I'm not saying Division's a bad game. Division is a phenomenal game. My personal problem, is with how they handled the party system. Now, outside of my personal issues with the game is incredible. The game is very phenomenal. It is the MMO for the Call of Duty people. And there's no way you can experience that on the demo they provided to you. There's no way, because you have to get into the dark zone and PvP. You have to fight the bosses. You have to see the raids. You have to get the gear.
I agree with Shane. I mean, we don't know what we've got here.
Yeah, this is an MMO. You cannot experience this on a demo. It's like saying, "Oh, play WoW 1 to 20, and if you like the game, keep it." That's bullcrap. Okay,
and I think max level. I think there's an argument here that they should have never done that. They might even have heard the sales. Like they should have banked on the hype that existed, and maybe the demo or the beta, whatever you want to call it, went against their own way. I still think today the Division is a big mystery to us PC gamers. Let's wait until the release.
I'll agree with you on that specifically because what I played of it in the open beta made me decide not to buy it. And at the very least, if I had paid money for it, I might have wanted to put in more time on it.
Right.
But to me, what I saw made me think that it was a little scattered and confused of a game. It didn't make me want to play it.
I want to say one thing. I see that Sword and Keyboard is saying that the comparison to Call of Duty is a bad comparison. I don't think you understand what I'm getting at. I think you're taking the comparison too literally, excuse me. What I'm saying is MMOs compared to first-person shooters. In the first-person shooter community, MMOs is considered nerdy or pansy or the old school way. And Destiny failed to deliver the MMO experience to the first-person world. Now, I'm not saying that you're a bad player for playing it, and I play it, and I love Destiny. But let's get one thing clear. It definitely did not deliver the first-person experience that the MMO world wanted. Now, the Division is a realistic shooter that is out to attract people from that Call of Duty area, that community, that wants those realistic shooters, that wants that feel of teamwork, but can portray your own teammates like a troll, right? So that's what I mean by saying that this is an MMO for the Call of Duty fans. This is a way for them to say, I play Division, but really what they're playing is, World of Warcraft on a PvP server with friendly fire on. That's really what they're doing. That's what I meant by that.
That was a solid analysis, man.
Caitlin is muted.
I just want to remind you guys that when we are done with this discussion, I will announce the winner of
and it's time.
Yeah, I think we're about done.
Yeah. Let's get on with it. Go.
Is there a Lord Zirian still in the house?
Oh wow.
Lord Zirian.
That
Where
is the guy.
Lord Zirian?
Yeah, he's here.
Everybody
Lord
sounds so
Zirian.
happy.
Speak up.
You're a
He's my
terrible lord,
friend.
sir.
He's watching us while he's doing a Star Wars raid.
Oh, well, never mind.
There he
I
is.
don't
He's
see
ready
him.
to receive his key.
You got a thing.
Congratulations, Zirin.
What's the
He
name?
plays Diablo with me all the time.
Lord Zirian.
I got him.
Wow, that seems a little harsh.
Yeah, he's in
I need
he's in
one
a-
second. All right.
He's healing in a raid right now while listening to us. That's
Well,
awesome.
that's acceptable then. Fine.
And he's got his key. So we're all done here.
Cool.
Wow, that was abrupt.
Yeah.
Because I could use more booze after I go to the bathroom.
I think all of us could probably use more booze. So
I apologize.
no, you don't, you liar. Chris, do us one more wonderful plug if you don't mind.
One more, Chris. Chris is out of plugs.
We need money.
Already.
It's like
Well, I just want to take one
Spaceballs.
quick announcement. I just posted a CD key in the chat. The reason why I posted it right now is because it literally expires in like less than a few hours, and it's for a game that I already have. So please get that CD key first.
I can
First come, first serve.
guarantee that within 3 seconds of you posting it, somebody already ran to Steam.
I hope they did. I
Yeah,
hope
probably.
They did.
'Cause I think now we are trained to see series of letters and numbers with hyphens, and we're like,
That's
"Ooh, I'll try that on Steam."
It's true. I mean, I wanted to give it away, but it won't even be valid in a few hours, so there's no point. But anyways, we've got the Red Solstice Community Tournament coming up on the April 16th to 17th. Go to opnoobs.com/E4I, our esports for indie. Click on the link there. Make sure you register. It's going to be great. We'd really love to have you. And lastly, please support our Patreon. We've said this before, and we'll say it again. We need the money to buy the games, to send out the reviews, and do this show, and talk all the trash that we talk. We really don't know what we're talking about if we haven't actually played the game. So
And
please.
to give you people shit, we have
That's
to
right.
give you games, right?
That's right. That's right. The CD keys don't just rain out of the sky from the generosity of our benevolent overlord, even though they kind of
They
do.
don't?
His name is Fred. But
I've sworn that's where I've been getting them all.
I know it's some guy. He keeps talking. He sounds French. But at any rate,
It's that
And
guy
you guys
with the
still
fan that
behave
says
like
free
jerks
candy
to
on the
me.
side.
oh, Fred, you're here. What happened?
And you guys still contradict me.
But yes,
So-
our benevolent overlord Fred does need your extra money. So please go to Patreon and just consider a donation.
I mean, guys, we got hacked by the entire country of Turkey. That shit's
The
not
Turkish
Yes,
hack squad.
yes,
The
we
Turkish
did.
By the
hack
way,
And
squad.
some
Tony,
strange
you have digital
retirees from
bullets,
OP
man.
Noobs.
as a good note, the link to Patreon for our particular account is down below the video.
right down there. Yeah, just look right down there, just below the giant button that says opnoobs.com.
Mhm.
And that being said, obviously Fred kind of ran away with a little bit of the show, but that's because
Can we close on the Oscars?
wait a second, we're not going to close on the
Mad
Oscars.
Max
You
kicks
gotta,
ass.
I'd like to go to
you
bed.
gotta pitch your own show, Fred, because Fred
Ah, yes.
has decided to
Oh, you're so nice.
become an expatriate of this show,
Oh, you're so
and
nice.
he's got
to-
his own little thing going
Yes,
on. Tell us
actually,
about that.
it's called OPN Essentials, and it's OPN Essentials, and it's not a live show. It actually goes on iTunes, and it's a show entirely focused on early access. I get to talk to the developers and get their reaction time on some of the criticism, highlight keyword criticism that the community on Steam is giving their games, and it's an opportunity for the developers to kind of give their feedback outside of just Steam forums and either argue for the directions they took their game to, or actually say no, hey, we realize that the Steam community is against it and we're changing those ways. So essentially it's a show that's focused on talking to devs about the reaction that the Steam community has on their early access.
So, long and short, it's a chance for Fred to babble on endlessly at developers.
It's a chance to
with no one
criticize
interrupting him.
it's a chance to criticize developers' work and saying the Steam community is behind me.
Your stuff sucks. Here's
It's gonna be
why.
awesome.
Let's
And if
see,
you
do
want
we
to
have-
know how to listen to this, this is actually all of our social media on opinoobs.com. On the upper right side of the website, you have all of the social icons, and one of them is the iTunes one. So just subscribe to that and you'll find us.
if you can suffer with the fact that you have to use iTunes in order to do that, or any of the other slightly less legal ways to get podcasts off of iTunes. But that being said, anybody have final thoughts on the Oscars? Fred?
Mad Max is awesome.
Yeah, I just think it's total bull that Leonardo DiCaprio actually argued that they shot his movie south of the planet because that's the only place they could find snow, and that means it's global warming. I thought it was total bull.
They could have just shot it in
It's
Maine
like,
and
what,
it would
you
have
thought
been
you were
fine.
going to shoot it in Malibu or something?
I'm gonna tell you.
Man.
I have a friend that's very close to Chicago right now. They get plenty of snow.
Yeah.
They get tons of snow.
They could have found the bears there.
Well, maybe not the Bears, but
No, they could have just gone to New England. and
unless
they
you're
were-
talking
saying,
about
like,
the
you-
team.
no, like,
if you
listen
want the
to-
team, the Bears, then
Oh.
sure.
I love DiCaprio. DiCaprio is
You know what?
an awesome actor. It's preposterous that he would have like brought
You're
global
such a
warming in.
Republican, Fred.
No, it
You
just
deny it,
it's
but you
preposterous.
are.
It's
You're
preposterous.
denying climate change on your own show.
He brought global warming in.
That's why he's got his own
Come on.
show. He,
You know what?
Yeah.
I
Just in case,
guarantee
by the
you-
way, I
Political
don't
on
know
your
if anyone
show,
out there
Fred.
can still vote because
Bernie.
frankly, it's probably too late. But please, just go vote and don't
Hey, I'm
vote for
probably
Trump.
like-
You could vote for anyone, and I wouldn't care as
Can
long
we
as it
just
wasn't
stop
Trump.
with the political?
vote Trump? Really?
Seriously, political is bad for this.
Well, that's the same reason why Fred's got his own little pirate radio show, so he can expound on all of his.
I'm bringing
All of his
Trump. I'm
wonderful
bringing
views.
Trump on game violence.
Why? Because he absolutely is.
No, he would bring the ratings in if he did.
He would.
Yeah, no,
I
we'd
will
get way too
invite
big
him.
search
He will
fast.
Right.
probably never
What I
Another
apply,
time.
but
I
I
actually
invite
want
him.
to get. I want to get Fred and Alex Jones in the same room.
I
And I
guarantee
want
you
them to
that
do the same.
I
want
guarantee
them
you
to show
that
it.
Donald Trump has not gotten
not
a
watch
request
that.
yet on game violence from gamers on Twitch, and I will do that from OP Noobs.
Alright.
I will ask
That'd be
him to
cool.
come on. Yeah, I will ask him to do a
Yeah,
dev
do it.
talk, presidential
Donald Trump
talk.
to do a
A
dev
Donald
dev
Trump,
talk.
game violence is Call of Duty bad for us. Come on the show and talk about it. I will do it. Fuck, watch
Oh
me
my
tomorrow.
God. You're gonna
Game
kill our
developers
audience
hate
going
both me.
political.
Wait a second, Fred. He hates immigrants.
those
Shouldn't you
old
technically not be able to talk to him?
I think it's awesome. And then I get Hillary Clinton on the show. and-
Wait, hating immigrants is awesome. Is that
and,
what you just
and
said?
Bernie can make us coffee.
Bernie would forget.
I'm gonna recollect one thing about Hillary. She actually did a campaign against video games because she was convinced that video games caused
I know she's awful.
violence.
She's awful. She's awful.
Yeah,
and
she's
it was
stupid.
really unfortunate.
And then
She's,
she got people
she's an
killed. So
enemy.
you know,
so many viewers.
She's
getting
an
so
enemy
political.
of the gamers.
we have lost all of our viewers. We're gonna start getting negative views at this point.
Donald Trump, however, I'm sure he owns some indie studio producing some damn thing that's successful.
Am I like the only person that would love to see a President John McAfee? Am I the
Good
only?
night,
No,
everyone.
you're not.
Good night.
McAfee
No.
2020.
Close the show
You do
before
not
it's too
need
late.
McAfee.
How about
Good
Cat
night. Oh, can you do the Obsidian plugin, Steven?
No, I'm not gonna do the Obsidian plugin. I'm gonna let Catbug up there do the Obsidian plugin. Chris,
I don't know what the fuck that is, so someone
Fred.
else do it.
Can we
Yeah.
give a shout out to Lightmaster?
Yeah.
She just
Take
gave
it
me
over.
he just gave me a Mew.
Aw,
Shout out.
Fred, please do the Obsidian plug for us.
We don't have it
Please.
scheduled yet. Just it's coming, so bear with us. And
Okay,
also,
we've got a thing. We don't have it scheduled yet, but we're going to be talking to Obsidian at some point in the near future. That's about it. The next interview that we're going to be doing, however, is Shane.
What's up?
Shane and I are going to get a chance to talk to. Who are we going to talk to? Shane?
Witch Beam. I'm so excited, dude. You have no idea. Oh my
What is
god.
the name
I'm
of
so
their
happy.
game?
Cactus Assault, man.
That's right.
Oh my god, I'm
Thanks
so
to,
excited.
thanks to Aaron Weiss for a great freaking review on our website too.
That's right. That's going to be fun. And if anybody is a fan of IndieBox, I'm kind of a fan of them myself. We're going to get a chance to talk to Assault Android Cactus this
Eli-
coming Thursday. They're
Eli,
Friday.
just quickly before we close the show, do you want to talk about abortion?
Yes, do it.
Why do you want to get so
kidding.
political, Fred?
I'm
Do you
kidding.
want to ruin
Fred,
our entire
Fred, I need you to
audience here?
apologize for the mass incarceration.
I am messing with you.
So,
We're talking about
that being
Christianity and
said-
gun violence next week.
The opinions expressed by the Frenchman do not
Second Amendment.
necessarily represent the views or opinions of OP
Of any
News
sane
as a
individual.
company.
I mean, OP News.